All right, so this is Rose Tinted Reels. My name is Zachary Duncan. What the heck is your name?
I am Allison Krause.
What? I'm sorry, you said what name?
Krause.
Legally speaking, your name has now changed?
Yes. Over the weekend, I have obtained my marriage license.
Oh my God, this is such big news. We must celebrate. Oop, nope. Let's try again. Nope, I don't want to laugh at you. Let's do this. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate not being laughed at or stabbed.
Yeah, I mean, this is appropriate for the movie, but no, I kind of forgot which buttons did what. Sorry.
I like it better, the mystery, the suspense.
So yeah, you're a married person. This
I'm
is
a married
amazing.
lady.
Look, I've known you for so many years, and you have not been a married person. To all of a sudden, you're now a different name person.
I know. I'm a Mrs.
What the? Ew, that's so old-fashioned sounding.
I know. I just call me Allison. That works.
All right. So, but Rockland is such a cool name. Are you leaving it behind?
I'm leaving it behind. Saying Rockland Krause, it's just a little too much to ask of anybody. And now,
Rockland Krause. It does sound so German.
It really does. But now I'm ABC.
ABC. That's
Allison
nice.
Beth Krause.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's rather sweet, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm Zed.
You're Zed.
Zachary
You're
Ellis
Zed
Duncan.
D.
Yeah. She's fending off a cat.
Well, I was
We
trying
have cat
to,
incursions.
I was trying to remove. She has a tuft of hair in her mouth. I was trying to help her get it out before she ate it, and then I would have to clean up a hairball. Since she's on your side, I don't know if you feel brave enough to reach into the jaws of death.
I would, but she has recoiled.
Yep. That
Good.
darn cat.
So, that's amazing. This is, you heard it here on the podcast. You became married.
Yeah.
I have been a wedding officiator
Yeah.
of sorts.
Yeah. Kind of. Except you didn't officiate the nuptials or something.
That's true. And it wasn't today.
And it wasn't today.
Yeah. But other than that, it made a lot of sense what I just said.
Dude, except for everything, it made perfect sense. No, it's so one of the things with COVID-19, we had to delay our wedding and wedding ceremony, and so we decided to go ahead and do this via mail, which is how they're doing civil services right now. It's all via mail.
Isn't that how Trump got married? Mail order?
Yeah, but I didn't import my husband.
No. All right. Well, fair enough.
Yeah. Anyway, but so I guess that is one of the big new and late breaking things in my life.
Well, let me be the first person on this podcast to congratulate you.
Why, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I did tell the family via text last night and my bridesmaids.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to tell you in person. Actually, pause real quick.
Hello.
Hi.
So I, instead of hitting play again, I stopped it. And so now I've hit play again. We're all right.
We're
We don't
okay.
need to mention it.
We can.
Let's just move smoothly past this moment
Okay.
as if nothing happened.
So I would like to offer a warning to our listeners.
Oh.
Yes. It is upon us the spooky season.
This is Halloween Eve or October Eve. What are people saying these days?
The Halloween season. I'm just calling it all the
Yeah, I know. Like Christmas started taking over the calendar. Like it encroached into November and such. I feel like
Halloween should do the same, right?
I think it should expand after October as well. Mm-hmm. It should go
Just
into like November.
Mid-November.
No, all of November. I think it doesn't stop being Halloween until December 1st.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, maybe even December 15th, if I'm honest.
So, with that being said, we are entering into our spooky films.
There you go. Look at that.
I like it. So today's film, it is spooky. I tried to make that clear on the last one, but I also would like to state this is a foreign film. So we are going to do the best we can to describe what's happening, recognizing that some of our listeners do not speak Korean.
Some of them.
Well, we don't know.
I do.
Oh, you have a pretty good idea.
At least right now, our viewership is very narrow.
I'm so like my friend Younghae. If she watches, she's from Korea. She would probably understand.
Oh, fair enough. Has she listened?
Not that I'm aware of.
So perhaps in the future she'll understand this.
Yes,
Okay.
if she decides to listen. But so it's one of those things where we are going to do our best to try to describe what's going on. We recognize the limitations, so to speak, of our podcast because you can't read the subtitles, so we're going to have to do our best to interpret what's happening so you get a good understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, this is something of an experiment. I don't know any other podcast, not because I've done any research, so I just don't know any other podcast that does movies and such. I haven't listened to them. But I don't think any of them have tackled a subtitled movie yet. So we're breaking new ground, possibly. But again, I haven't done any amount of research. I don't actually know if what I just said is true.
Yeah, it's going to be like if I ever have to assign a silent film, like a good Charlie Chaplin film or something.
Oh, man.
That may require some...
Is that in the cards for us?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I don't think you've seen a Charlie Chaplin film. And there's some beautiful ones. Like
Beautiful?
they touch your heart.
Oh. Do they really?
Yeah.
Is Charlie Chaplin the dude who...
has
like,
the mustache?
well, that's Groucho Marx. So... But yeah, he also has an mustache. But was he the one that did a skit where like the front of the barn fell down and he was like in the center of it and he went through a window or a doorway or something?
So I think he did one like that, but Buster Keaton was also known for doing those.
Okay.
Buster Keaton had a very brilliant math mind. So while Charlie Chaplin is very known for like pratfallings and physical comedy, Buster Keaton actually knew what to do to make kind of impossible saves. So the one you're speaking of reminded me of a Buster Keaton, not a Charlie Chaplin, but now I want to look into it because I'm trying to remember.
Well, that's some homework for you. It's also in Psych. They did it in Psych.
Oh.
No, I'm not saying they did it first. I'll leave that up to the audience to determine, but
They time traveled, did it, and then came back.
exactly, with color film.
Exactly. It's marvelous.
Anywho, so do you have any other how you been? How's your families? That's pretty big news. I don't have any such news. My dog's doing all right. My cats are okay.
They're not all right. They're fine.
They're fine.
They're cats.
They're alive.
Yeah.
I think they're happy.
I discovered recently today at my local Ace Hardware store that they have a cat that just gets to hang out. Today I found it lying on the bags of coal for charcoal for grilling.
Mm-hmm. Was Michael Caine standing behind saying that his books didn't include enough diversity?
No. No such luck.
You're only going to understand that reference if you watched our last episode of Sleuth. But trust me, that was really clever. You should give me credit.
It was because.
Hang on. Now we've got another incursion.
A cat that has returned. So that was just exciting. Mark and I tonight are going to break in what we discussed on our last podcast, that we got a new grill from my sister Katie. Thank you, Katie. And so we're going to take it on its pilot drive tonight and make a flank steak.
I'm really excited.
Oh,
You surprised me with that news when I walked in the door.
Yeah.
I'm already salivating.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be good. It's going to be full of garlic and Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire?
Yeah, you say it right.
I think it's actually...
Worcestershire?
Yeah, Worcestershire, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's spelled Worcestershire. I mean, the British need to go away. That's ridiculous. Worcestershire, but pronounce it Worcestershire.
Oh, it's like that Welsh town that is like 42
L's.
yeah.
That's how they spell.
It ends in go, go, go. Like that's the...
Oh my God, yeah. I actually watched a video of a real Welshman saying that properly. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's got like 27 syllables. I can't hang with that.
No, it's practically its own alphabet. I saw it was the guy's pilot weather broadcasting, and they challenged him to use that in his weather broadcast, and he did it stunningly. Yeah. It was perfect.
Good on him. I'm happy for him.
All right. So I do have other big news.
Oh God, my little heart can't take it. What is it?
We have a 5-star review.
Oh, my heart. Go on.
So on the iTunes, we have a review from Miss Taco Bell Queen. Yes, Queen. And the headline is comical and endearing.
Aw.
Zach and Allison are eloquent and excellent, which the podcast provided much needed comical relief in these trying times. I love reliving these classic movies through their podcasts with a different perspective coming from Zach.
All right, so we've kind of skipped ahead a little bit. We've gone into the listener comments and reviews.
It's kind of late news.
So this was a 5-star review on Apple Podcast.
Yes.
So just to give everybody, I'm going to say this every podcast. If you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, we will read it on the show. We will give you a shout out if you want it. You can mention it if you don't want your name mentioned, but we'll say whatever you write, no matter how negative it is.
Unless,
not that I'm encouraging it to be negative, mind you, but just I feel like if you have negative thoughts, that's the best outlet for you to let us know.
But I will say, again, a stipulation, if you are specifically using derogatory language or hate speech, we're not going to just...
How often do you think they're going to be using hate speech in a podcast review?
I just have no faith in humanity.
That's crazy.
But yes, so find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Rose Tinted Reels or Reddit r/Rose Tinted Reels.
Indubitably. And we'll read the most interesting of your comments on here. If something really strikes our fancy, we'll read it on here. And again, you can mention it if you don't want us to give you a shout out by name, but we will otherwise. So that's a way to get in communication. We'll have a little bit of feedback within the podcast with our community. And but again, if you absolutely want us to read your thoughts, 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. But going backwards a little bit, I have...
Backward. You can never go backward.
We're going back to Act 1.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention that I saw Mulan.
The new one?
Yep.
I wasn't willing to drop the monies on it.
No, nor was I, but my mommy did.
Oh.
My mommy dropped the money and I watched on her account.
So I'm torn about this movie just because of some of the... Like the lead actress getting in trouble for making supportive comments against the police that were brutalizing student protests and things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She was pro Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm. So it's I love the Mulan story. I love the animated tale. I am nervous about this one, and I've heard mixed reviews. So I'm curious to hear what you think.
So I think people's reviews have been colored by their distaste for the main actress and her positions and stances on things, and also Disney's stance of thanking China for allowing them to film in an area where there were concentration camps, rehabilitating quote unquote people.
Yes, that's something I learned about recently. Thank you to John Oliver.
Right. So anyway, so I think that the people's reviews of the movie have been kind of colored by these things. So I went in there. I wasn't
Just
really
to watch a movie.
Yeah, and I have to say I liked it. I thought it was good. It wasn't great. It wasn't as good as the original. They took out all the musical parts, and I really loved all the original music. But you could still hear kind of a little bit of the same score underpinning moments of the movie, which was kind of nice, but nobody sang. And it was a different story, so they had different characters that were in it, and things happened slightly differently, but the broad strokes were the same. And I thought it was nice. I mean, it wasn't, earth-shattering or anything like that, but it was...
What about the gentleman strokes?
Were there any gentleman strokes?
Well, I was just broad. It was a bad joke.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would think it, but I won't say anything.
Well, that's because podcasting is a lot of yes-anding. But, so did it have kind of a House of Flying Daggers or Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of feel? Like I kind of got a sense that it was that more theatrical fighting.
Look, I don't think it should come as any surprise to listeners of this podcast.
You haven't seen either?
I haven't seen those movies. But I have seen a small, I think it was Crouching Dragon, Hidden Tiger, where the fellas where the fellas were balancing on gigantic leaves on a tree. So I saw that part of it, but nothing else.
So something that
and in that respect, no, it is not similar.
I mean, I'm just basing what I saw on the slow-mo reel of the fight scenes, but I honestly think that those are films you would enjoy. Maybe we will have to visit at a time of our podcast. They are a bit lengthy, but they are just beautiful.
I mean, I've watched
Just
other
beautiful.
martial arts movies that are artsy, and I've liked those. So yeah, I'm down for watching that. But no, as far as the combat in Mulan, it wasn't. They didn't go very artsy and stylized with it. That in particular, there were other things that were very Disneyfied, so it was very kind of magical and elevated feeling. But
And I'm sure that they did a lot to kind of make it clean combat versus, blood kind of scary combat. Was there an evil hawk?
do you want me to spoil it for you?
Well, it's not really a spoil.
Well, it is kind of a little bit.
Oh, okay. Then no.
Okay, so you are going to see this at some point.
At some point, not when I have to pay $30 for it.
Yeah, and that's understandable. So the answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to spoil it for you, but it's different.
It's not what I think.
The hawk is a person.
Oh, is it the witch?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Spoiled.
Does she actually turn? No, don't answer. I'm going to just ponder it until I see it.
I could answer. Do you want the answers?
No,
Come on, look me in the eye and tell me you don't want the answers.
I don't want the answers.
Oh God, we've got a cat incursion.
And I didn't even look.
You gotta.
That's how serious I am.
You must protect the equipment.
I will, but don't spoil. This is really difficult. I want to blink so bad.
All right. Nope.
Nope.
We're blinking. Oh, the cat was on my side. She helped you blink.
So,
All of a sudden, you have sad voice.
So remember when I told everyone to get a flu shot?
Mm-hmm.
They can make you a little tender. And I just got my flu shot.
I need to get mine. I haven't gotten mine yet.
So the cat just ricocheted off of my arm where I got the flu shot.
The important part of this, though, is that I won the staring competition.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Fair or not, the cat was here. She could have leaped on me. She wanted to
Leap on
you.
the familiar person and ruin all of her notes.
So speaking of flu shots, I don't have insurance.
So
I'm unable to do that without shelling out $1 million.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that they encourage most people to get flu shots. So I think through GoodRx, you could get a discount.
Like if I go to CVS or something like that, are they going to give me a flu shot?
I think if you use GoodRx, let me look into it for you. I just know a lot of places, because they encourage so many people to get their flu shot, they will make concessions and ways to help you. Otherwise, I think it is $40.
I might just perform a heist.
A flu shot heist?
Yeah.
That's a terrible idea.
Steal some flu shot.
Don't steal.
I should. Actually, I could be the modern day Robin Hood. Seriously.
Steal vaccines from the rich.
Yeah, steal vaccines from the, big pharma and just deal them out on the street corner. I could be a real drug dealer, but a good one. Like the most moral drug dealer in the world.
Well, I would start with like diabetic medications because those
Yeah,
are.
but that doesn't really affect me, so I don't care as much.
You're not really a Robin Hood.
Well, I'm a Robin Hood about things that I care about.
That's
Free
self-serving,
flu.
Hood.
Yes, of course. Oh, you don't think he was a little bit self-serving? He stole from the rich and padded his own pockets a little bit.
They
What
don't
was
talk
ever
about
left
that in the story.
Yeah, it's implied.
Anyway,
At least that's what I inferred from the story.
well,
He lives in a mansion.
I mean,
They
I'm
just don't
sure
show
he
it.
had to skim a little off the top to, fund his little Sherwood forest, but
Yit-da-doo, da-da-doo, da-doo-doo. Yit-da-doo, dap-doo, dap-doo. Yip-a-doo, dap-doo, da-lee-dap-boo. La-boop-ba-de-doo. All right, we're going to get sued by Disney.
Yeah.
Let's stop now.
So, Zach, what happened in 2003?
Oh, man, I'm so glad you asked me that. So, The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King released.
Ha! I have that in my notes too.
And that's the best thing that happened in 2003.
So, that is also the year that Robert Downey Jr. decided to get clean thanks to Burger King.
What?
Yes. So Robert Downey Jr. thanked Burger King for getting him off drugs. In 2003, with a car full of drugs, he had a burger that was so disgusting, it made him rethink his life and dump the drugs into the ocean.
So Burger King has publicly associated themselves with this moment in
I
his
don't
life?
think that they did, but that didn't stop RDJ from...
Oh, I kind of like that. That's rather sweet.
It's sweet, but it's like a backhanded compliment. Your food is so gross.
I got me on the right track in my life. Yeah.
So, thanks, the king.
That's nice. I wonder if, because I think that Burger King and McDonald's have kind of gone through different evolutions, and like occasionally be like, oh no, now we're serving real meat. And maybe that was one of those
Not
moments.
Zed grade meat.
So maybe that was one of those moments. They were like, all right, we got our DJ on the right path. Our job is done. We can start serving real food now. Maybe that's how it was.
Maybe.
I'd like to believe that that was the case.
Wait a minute. In Iron Man, he gets a fast food burger. Do we know where that came from?
Yeah, he was in the donut. And I think the donut is like, what? I don't know what the name of that place was.
When he first gets back from the being rescued from the camp after installing his own Iron Man suit, he's like, I need a burger and I need to do a press release.
That's a good question. I don't know. And it would be hilarious.
If it
Really
was
good
Burger
reference if it was Burger King. That would be awesome.
So we'll look that up before the next podcast.
Yes, that'll be on our notes to reveal on the next Rose Garden address, which we've decided is our Act 1. That's the name of our Act 1.
Yes, we're doing our Rose Garden address to you fine people.
By the way, you were attempting to Photoshop my head on Trump's body. How's that process gone?
So I didn't want to Photoshop your head on Trump's body because that seems cruel.
To which one of us?
To you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You are a young man. You do not have a Trump body.
Thank you. It's very kind of you.
He looked down at his own bazooms.
What? I'm sorry. You just said that I have bazooms. I must not be in that great a shape.
Pectorals.
Thank you. That sounds better. That's more manly. That's got more dignity in it for me.
His chesticles.
Well, that's going the wrong way again. Try again.
Yeah, I only know pectorals.
Pectorals.
So,
that works.
yeah.
Let's stick with that.
His man chest. And so he was looking down, and so it just flowed out. What I said. Anyway, so 2003, that was also when I graduated high school.
With what grade point average? I'm putting you on blast right now.
I think it was a 3.5.
That's respectable.
Yeah, my graduating year, I happened to have the best grade point average out of all the other years I was in high school.
Oh, I thought you were about to say of anybody else in the school. I'm like, God damn, you didn't have any people that were really trying?
There was a lot of very smart people in my high school. So
you had like a 4.2 and stuff like that.
Yeah, the ones that were in all the AP classes and all of that. So like I think the smartest person in my grade was a girl named Lauren Nelson.
That's a good 80s sounding name.
She's brilliant. She's smart. Believe she became a doctor. She originally had wanted to become an Egyptologist, but I think switched.
So the lady that I've been talking to on eHarmony wants to go to school for Egyptology as well.
And my cousin, Mr. Bartlett, one of his 20 degrees is in Egyptology.
I know. I've revealed that. He was part of my small talk with this lady.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm utilizing people and their stories to better myself and my personal life.
Well,
I
if
hope
nothing
that's not
else, it
offensive.
shows that you have friends.
I'm not a lonely little son of a gun. She won't know the truth until later, till it's too late.
Yep. What truth?
That I'm a lonely son of a gun.
Well, they say that you don't want to be lonely enough for the stink of loneliness to affect you. That's a real thing. People who are alone or unhappy for a certain amount of time, apparently they give off like almost a pheromone.
Like an actual physical thing that radiates off of them?
Yeah, it's like you stink of loneliness is a true thing.
Oh, see, I thought it would be like a psychological thing. Like you just behave in such a way and you hold yourself in such a way that you seem super lonely.
Maybe it's both.
But yeah, if it's a physical thing, that's...
I mean, and there's junk science to back anything you want to prove, so...
Sure. Like I said in the previous podcast about flu shots, direct correlation 100% of the time to the autism.
No. No, it's not true. That's not even about flu shots. That's about other vaccines.
Yeah. It's all disgusting and stupid. So yeah. By the way, if you're a viewer of ours or a listener and you believe that vaccines give you autism, they don't.
And maybe this isn't the show for you.
Well, I mean, this isn't, strictly speaking, a skeptical or, scientific podcast. So we're taking all comers here.
Yeah.
Except for people who deny, vaccines, because that's just silly. We don't need your kind.
Part of me is like, well, eventually down the road, the problem will take care of itself.
Well, no, because if they're not taking vaccine, it affects everybody.
Oh, yeah. No, and that's one of the big reasons I'm really encouraging the flu shot is because the risks are very minimal. Now, I will say that there are some. If you are allergic to eggs, you should not.
I'm sorry, what?
Eggs, like
eggs?
The things that come out of chicken butts.
Oh, eggs. Yeah.
He mocks how I talk.
I think that's the only word, though.
No,
is there another one?
No.
Eggs.
The other word for radioactive.
Nuclear?
Yeah, you don't. I won't say it in front of you because I become self-conscious specifically saying
what
that
do you
word.
say?
You say I say it like W.
W? Because he says nuclear. That's not how it's spelled.
I'm aware, and I thought I was saying it right, and now I'm paranoid. And it took me a really long time to say onion correctly.
Oh, really?
I used to put a G in there. Onion.
Onion. That's an odd one. My pet peeve is when people say envelope.
Envelope?
It's envelope. It starts with an E.
Are you a pecan or a pecan?
I don't know. That seems to be that's a personal choice. I think the spelling supports either pronunciation.
Caramel or caramel?
Is there an E in there? I think there's an E in there, right? Caramel. So I guess caramel is correct.
Okay. We could do this all day.
Sure. I'm down. This is my wheelhouse. I love it.
So what else in 2003?
Well, nothing could top Lord of the Rings Return of the King releasing. But I'm going to try. The good news also, John Ritter and Johnny Cash died. Oh, that's not good news.
Whoa.
Oh, damn it. See, I got dark. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do it. That's actually really sad. John Ritter was a funny guy, and so was Johnny Cash.
Yeah, well, Johnny Cash's music is beautiful.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
He had a very unique voice, and
by the way, Joaquin Phoenix did him proper in his movie.
I never actually watched that one.
See, this is what I'm saying. The new good movies I've got.
Speaking of new good movies, that was when the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie released. It was
in
2003.
Was it the same year that Return of the King?
Yeah, it was a big year
goodness.
for nerd movies.
That blew me away when I saw that in the theater. Like the score and everything.
So
Seriously,
good.
It made me shiver. Like I was just a little young dweeby dork man. I don't know how old. Yeah. Oh man, I ate that movie up. I loved that movie so much.
And Finding Nemo also came out that year.
I still quote from. I'm still on Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, sorry.
I still quote Pirates of the Caribbean constantly, and almost nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Well, I probably follow most of the quotes from there, but
Yeah, you probably do.
But I'm also a nerd.
You're a dweeby dork man.
I'm a dweeby dork man. So that was a very good year for cinema.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And blockbustery cinema, I suppose.
Also, the top song was "Hey Ya" by Outkast.
Hey Ya. That was. We're gonna cut that out because
No.
I didn't really do
was
that
beautiful.
as well as I wanted to.
You think you got it?
I'm really glad we've got this soundboard. I could just.
I'm really glad we have it when you don't hit the right one.
Well, but see, I'm going to learn. Eventually, I'm going to get the right one each time.
We're going to have to make a little label.
Oh, it actually came with labels. I can do that. This is supposed to be crickets. It just sounds like a
squeaky wheel.
A squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's enough. What are we doing? Oh, yeah, we're on... what was so great about that year? Okay, so I had The Death of Two Great Men, and you had... Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And Little Nemo. Finding Nemo.
Well, yes, Little Nemo is different than Finding Nemo.
Oh, that's right. You've seen that. Yeah. That's a great movie.
It made me really want a flying squirrel.
I used to be... Oh, the flying squirrel?
Icarus.
Yeah, Icarus. That movie used to creep me out something fierce.
Banana pajama pajama.
That's such a weird thing to scream. That's part of the movie, guys.
Yeah, I was
if you
about to
haven't
say,
seen,
he
she hasn't
wasn't
just had an aneurysm and started screaming weird things. No, it all makes sense. It's in the movie. Well, I don't know if it makes sense even in the movie. Does it? I guess he draws power from his pajamas.
And bananas.
And bananas.
It's potassium.
And
folks.
bananas.
It's potassium.
Exactly. Maybe potassium is like the source of magic in that reality.
Not Santa Claus, who is the king of Slumberland.
Oh, I need to rewatch that movie, actually.
I own it if you need to borrow it.
I wish I hadn't seen it so that we could do it for this podcast.
Ooh, perhaps one of our friends would like to volunteer as tribute.
Do you think that would qualify as a spooky movie?
No.
Okay.
I think it's more whimsical. That might be a good thing for the Christmas time, winter season. More whimsical films.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because that's the...
Sorry, I had to stifle a burp.
He had a seizure. It was terrifying. Okay. So I just had a funny quote that came out of that year. Jessica Simpson had her Newlyweds reality TV show, and she was quoted saying this, where do buffalo wings come from?
The
Chickens or buffalo?
Right. Was she being serious?
Yeah.
Well, why were chickens on her mind?
So this is, I think, coming from either the same conversation or a conversation she had before where she didn't understand if the tuna fish was chicken because they called it chicken of the sea. So she's like, I know we're eating tuna, but it's tuna chicken.
Yeah.
And you just saw Nick Lachey like, what did I marry?
Who's Nick Lachey?
He was the singer from 98 Degrees.
What the heck is that?
A boy band.
Oh, 98 Degrees? Mm-hmm. How did I miss that? What era
Because
were
they were never NSYNC or Backstreet Boys.
True, but I also listened to back in my child days. Britney Spears.
Mm-hmm. Well, she dated an NSYNC fella.
Which one? Do any of the other ones have names, or is it just?
Well, there's JC, there's Justin Timberlake, there's Lance Bass, and then there's the other two.
Lance Bass. I feel like I've heard Lance Bass. Does he have a wide face?
Yeah, a very deep voice too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Lance Bass, I think, has done stuff recently, like on TV. Joey Fatone, he's one of them.
Fatone. He sounds like he should be in the mafia.
I think he's Greek.
Joey Fatone.
Joey Fatone's Greek, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah. And then there's the last one that I can never remember the name of. Man, that's going to be the one that decides to listen to us. It's going to be really insulting.
Of course. No, they're all going to listen to us, obviously.
Yes.
I don't know those people, the 98 Degrees people. Mm-hmm. They sound terrific, I'm sure.
I mean, of the boy bands, they were up against the giants of NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. And
they were like late 90s?
Yeah, late 90s, early 2000s. Because I think that Blink-182 made fun of one of the 98 Degrees music videos once.
I can buy that.
Yeah.
By the way, I got some behind the scenes information on one of the Blink-182 music videos where they're running naked through the streets. So they had censor bars over their more intimate areas.
Yeah.
But they were actually wearing Speedos while they were running, so they weren't totally naked. And that's all I have for you on that one. But no, they didn't ask permission to run around as such, so they got a lot of funny stares.
I'm sure they did. I was just waiting for the microphone to pop off your thing again because it looks a little low.
Well, if you look over here, look at this. This is a little bit crooked, this screw, and I'm not really sure why. So it may pop off again. I don't know.
So are we ready to slide into Act 4, or do you have more 2003 trivia?
Oh, yeah. No, I've got some more good news. So
now is it actual good news? Because I don't trust you after your last good news.
Well, yeah. So also in 2003, the U.S. Space Shuttle Columbia crashed.
That's not good news.
Oh, dang it, man. I messed up again. So there's that. And excuse me. I can say words. The Concorde made its last commercial flight landing at Heathrow Airport in London.
Oh.
So pour some out for the Concorde, which is a great aeroplane.
Which is the clappy hand one?
I think it's that one right there. So go ahead.
That one or the yellow?
No, I think it's this one. That one's... Oh, this is laughter. Dang it. So that one's clapping. Try that one.
And I thought so.
Well, you don't know anything. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I knew a thing. He made me doubt. How dare.
Well, hey, man, for all time, you have been recorded as being right. So that must feel pretty good.
It does. It does.
Yeah. All right. So let's continue on. That's all of the stuff I had for 2003. Not a whole lot went on. Some good movies.
I feel like the news wasn't as exciting as some of our past film
Well,
years.
can I tell you why?
Please.
Okay.
I
So,
was waiting.
well, I wanted permission. So it's because it was 2003. This movie was too modern for this podcast. I didn't know what year it was until I later looked it up.
Oh.
It was too modern. So no interesting people could have been born on that year.
No, it's true.
So that's probably why. Only good people died on this year.
Only the good die young.
Yeah. Ritter definitely did die young. How old was Cash?
Oh,
I feel like he would
that
have been
was
in
your
his
factoid, so I didn't
50s.
look it up.
Well, I just thought you might know offhand.
71 years old.
70. Oh, okay. So that's much older than I thought he was.
Yeah, no, because he was not a young man when he was recording music.
Well, he started a bit late, and certainly got fame later. Well, the next thing is just analyzing the movie, right?
Well, we also wanted to do the movie trivia inside the movie before we do our movie
Oh, yeah.
analysis.
Oh, I'm way off. Go ahead.
So this movie is actually based on a fairy tale. It's a dark fairy tale from Korean culture. Please forgive my pronunciation. I do not speak Korean, and I'm not sure if I'm saying these things correctly.
Say it in the most American way possible.
I feel like that's how I say everything.
Yeah. It'll be fine.
The dark fairy tale, Jinghua Hungryong Jeon, literally the story of Jinghua and Hungryong. It is a Joseon era Korean folktale.
I feel like just for simplicity, because every time I'm going to reference one of their names, I'm probably have to read it. So let's just say older sister, younger sister, dad, stepmom, mom.
I kind of wrote my notes that way.
Okay, good.
So in the original fairy tale, the daughters are framed by the stepmother and stepbrothers, and their lives become forfeit. So the stepmother resented the two daughters named Red Rose and Red Lotus, and she is set from the husband commands, I want you to arrange the marriage for my daughter. So she has her eldest son skin a rat and put it in her bed. So it looked like she had a miscarriage, which, because the daughter had not yet been wed, would mean that she was not pure.
What was the size of this rat?
I don't know. Could be, a baby rat, could be a field rat. But the daughter fled the house fearing repercussions and was chased into a river and drowned. Her sister, so upset about this, joined her sister in death, and their house became haunted. It was only when a brave young mayor, came to the house. He asked the girls what happened, and she pleaded with him to examine the rat. And doing that, they were able to punish the stepmom and stepbrother.
I read a bit of the original folktale, and I thought it was interesting that there in the original were three sons by the stepmother.
Yes. That's how she got more favor with the husband.
Right. And that makes sense. I like that as a piece of the story. And it's weird that they didn't have that as part of this movie.
Well, what's also interesting, this is not the first time this fairy tale has been turned into a film adaptation.
Yeah.
It's been done several times before in Korea, but this is the first one to do its own unique spin on it.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I'd read that this was not based on any of the other movies. It wasn't trying to do the same sort of story. But I thought that it was going to be going to a more authentic place, referencing the original mythology or folktale. But it seems like, they just went in their own direction to make it more horror-y.
Horror and I'll say a little bit more modern.
Well, I haven't seen the other ones, so I don't know.
Oh, I just meant the storytelling. Like, it wasn't set in the past, and it didn't reference infidelity of the daughters or forced marriage or anything like that. Yeah. But I will say that this movie is both the highest grossing Korean horror film and is the first to be screened in an American theaters. It had a limited release starting December 3rd of 2004 and grossed $72,541.
That is very. That's one of the two trivias that I had.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
You go.
I didn't find a lot of interesting trivia for this.
Oh, I found a couple of things, but please go on.
So the next thing I had was, I actually don't know if I want to read this one because it contains in it some of my opinion on the movie, and I don't know if I should reveal that yet.
Okay. Well,
Well, here, I'll give you, I'll read it and I'll just try to not editorialize it all.
you will.
So, the original script had, oh my goodness, the father, installing security cameras all throughout the house, and it was recommended by the doctors so that he could monitor the older sister's behavior when he was not home. Mm-hmm. And the doctors at the mental hospital would be reviewing the footage and see that the older sister was constantly talking to herself and revealing that the other two ladies weren't there. Okay. That was later written out of the script because the director thought it took away some of the mystery.
Which I like. I like that they got rid of that.
Okay.
But we can get into that.
I refuse to reveal how I feel about that.
Very well. It won the 2003 Screamfest Horror Film Festival for Best Picture and Best Actress from the eldest sister. Mm-hmm. It also, in the 2003 Korean Film Awards, won Best New Actress for The Eldest Sister, Best Art Direction by Park Hee-young, Best Sound by Choi Tae-young, which I will say that one of my favorite things is the waltz from that movie, the intro and outro music, the kind of waltz sounding music.
Oh, okay. I can't really picture it right now. Well, when we start playing it later, I'll comment.
Yeah. There was an American remake of this movie called The Uninvited. It was not good.
Oh, I was going to ask you.
Oh, it was horrible. It lacked every bit of thing. So it tried to use the same story, changed it a little bit, but took away everything that I liked from the original. And
what was that?
Just what did I like about the original?
Yeah, I mean the contrasting bits that you found lacking in the new.
So the new one, it made it an American horror where they kind of spoon-fed you a lot of information. They didn't leave you to think for yourself. I don't like when movies do that. And there's a lot of time in the Korean film where there's no dialogue. There's just sound and reactions. And just kind of that really beautiful aesthetic of the house. Like that house, man, that house was unsettling before you walked into the door.
I have to say, I was curious about the house because it didn't seem, I've never been to Korea. Mm-hmm. It seemed like an American sort of house. It seemed very Western, except for certain walls that had seemingly Asian influence on the decor and
the wallpapers.
Yeah, things like that.
There was something off about the wallpapers to me. I
have to say, I loved bits of the house though. Really wide hallways, cool lamps in the halls and stuff like
floors.
That. Really nice floors. Really nice floors.
Yeah. And the pier.
Oh, yeah.
But
they really had a nice property there.
Yeah. So the two lead characters are Soo-mi and Soo-yeon, and those still mean Rose and Lotus, which are a nod to the original. The actress that played the stepmother and the eldest daughter actually became very good friends during the filming of this.
Aw.
Yeah. And all of the four main characters have had very good TV and movie careers in Korea after this film.
So I guess none of them went outside of Korea to do like Hollywood movies?
Not
I was
that-
wondering with the success of this particular one, if Hollywood would have come knocking.
I didn't see any, but I didn't recognize any major names on any of them. But yeah. But there's a big film industry in Korea.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So they may not have had to have gone too far for success.
Although I wonder, it'd be an interesting thing. I bet we could easily get this on Wikipedia or something like that. But the relative size of each country's film industry, because I know Bollywood is bigger than Hollywood.
Oh, that's a huge industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's odd because our movies go everywhere. Hollywood movies go everywhere in the world and are translated into other languages, dubbed, subbed, whatever, and just whatever. But Bollywood movies don't usually make it to the West. And the fact that their industry is bigger than ours is just interesting to me.
Well, you have to look at the consumer. the average consumer in America, would they buy into a Bollywood film? Now, there's ones that I've seen that are beautiful, but I don't typically seek out Bollywood films. It's not that
No,
I'm
nor do I.
against them, but
I'm against them.
No, you're not.
Back to Russia.
Speaking of Russia, that's another film industry where we don't get a lot of.
By the way, that was an Eddie Izzard quote. I wasn't being racist.
Yeah. No, anytime you think one of us are saying something off color, most likely it's an Eddie Izzard quote. He's not racist. He's also mocking racist. I feel like it should be said.
Anyway, sorry, you were saying something about Russia?
Oh, there's a really good Russian horror film that I really like called The Night Watch. And that was one of the first Russian films that I had seen brought to an American.
I don't think I've ever seen a Russian movie even advertised to me.
Huh.
That's dude. I didn't even know I didn't even consider that they might have had a film industry over there.
Well, of course.
Well,
Yeah. And like there's some really good French films that we most likely wouldn't have heard from here otherwise.
yeah, but they're so
Japanese films.
derivative of American films.
No, have you ever seen The Hate Line?
Oh, I just thought that would stick in the craw of all French.
Our French listeners.
Well, and anybody who appreciates French film, and they were probably
Yeah,
pioneers in so many ways.
La Belle La Bête.
Yes. By the way, I also rewatched that recently.
Oh,
I mentioned it. I wanted to also say that I saw the live, quote unquote, live action Lion King,
okay.
and
I was not.
I wasn't a big fan of it.
I can't watch Mufasa die in the original Lion King. I can't imagine what it'd be like for me in this.
So I really liked the actor that played Scar. You know, he doesn't have the same kind of iconic voice that Jeremy Irons has. Mm-hmm. So there was something lost, especially with the songs, with the new guy playing Scar. But I really liked his acting and some of the more dramatic moments when he was killing Mufasa and when he squared off against Simba at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. Thought he did a really good job. But for the most part, it felt kind of lifeless, that movie.
So how did John Oliver compare to Rowan Atkins?
Was it Rowan Atkins in the original? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
Zazu? Yeah.
I had no idea. That's amazing. But I liked him. I thought he was funny.
Yeah.
I giggled, but that may have only been funny in a meta way because I know who he is, and he even made a joke about bringing the news, which it made me giggle. But it may have only been an in joke, so I don't know if it's exported to a wider audience well. But I thought
kids won't know what last night.
last week tonight, yeah. But I thought it was all right. It just felt kind of lifeless. But the Beauty and the Beast remake, loved it.
So,
which was how I got on that train of thought because you mentioned the French version.
Yeah, the beautiful, beautiful original French version. But so I had my problems with Beauty and the Beast, but that has nothing to do with A Tale of Two Sisters.
Screw that movie. So we're talking about Beauty and the Beast right now. This is the Beauty and the Beast podcast.com.
So I love Emma Watson. One of the things that I struggled with in this film was I felt that her reaction should have been bigger for a person who has never seen magical or whimsical things suddenly being in an enchanted fucking castle. Act surprised.
So she went up to save her father. Had she encountered anything by then?
Well, I was more talking about during the Be Our Guest scene. Like, she just doesn't seem that excited.
Oh. Well, I mean, she'd been kind of desensitized already because she'd been having conversations with teapots and things.
They're putting on a show and making you eat gray stuff.
Look, she has lived her entire life in a little provincial town, and she just thinks the rest of the world is like this. She's in culture shock right now.
I've heard different rationales behind this. Munchausen's by proxy.
I mean, I can buy that as a weird thing about the movie.
Not Munchausen's. Sorry, that was the wrong.
Munchausen's is when you... Well, she might have also had Munchausen's because she was imprisoned by the Beast and came to love him. That is... no, that's not Munchausen.
That's... I know what you're thinking, and that's where I got... Where you fall in love with your captor. Not Munchausen.
It's the...
Stockholm.
Thank you. My brain was shutting down trying to find that.
He was literally looking like his hands were making like a circling through a card catalog trying to like pull it out.
My eyes were closed. I was using all my power. It's just a search.
Reaching to the stars.
Thank you, though. That really, my brain
I
was
said
starting to hurt.
Munchausen, you got stuck on it, and
Yeah.
we both meant Stockholm.
Anyway, so yeah, she had that. But no, I thought it. But other than that,
I thought that was the best Gaston.
I loved Gaston. Oh my God, I fell in love with that guy.
I keep telling Chris he needs to be Gaston one year for Halloween because
Yeah.
I think he would be an excellent Gaston.
Yeah, I think he's got the right demeanor and look for it.
Yeah.
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 And who's going to be LeFou?
Well, I mean, when you think of the two kind of so when you think of our friends group, there's kind of I'll say a tier. So it would either be Grande or Timmy, and I think Timmy would be a better LeFou.
Oh, I think Timmy could pull off a LeFou.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the traditional LeFou, but I think he would be a good one.
Yeah. Anyway, I loved him. I thought he was fantastic in that movie, and I thought the Beast was good. I thought all the animation was good. The CG was good. It made me feel things that I hadn't felt, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. Anyway, I don't know why we're talking so much about Beauty and the Beast.
I
know.
do this
I tried to pull us back on track, and you determinedly were sticking with it. Look, you need to learn how to do podcasts. You can't.
Please mansplain podcast.
So in a podcast, you're supposed to stick on a topic. You can't just always go off and indulge in every little thought you have.
Well,
You
how
gotta
are we
stick
going to be
with
the
it.
tangent twins if we don't go on some tangents?
All right, fine. If you really want to.
So, movie analysis of A Tale of Two Sisters. You know, I don't think we've said the title of this one quite enough.
Yep, haven't we?
I think we said it once, maybe.
Tale of Two Sisters.
Yes.
A Tale of Two Sisters. A Tale of Two Sisters.
But we're not talking about
Tale
a
of Two
posterior
Sisters.
tail. We're
A
talking,
posterior tale?
yeah, like a monkey tail.
Oh,
yeah,
it
we're
could-
talking about a tale as in a story.
Ah, that's true. Yeah. TALE.
So last we reviewed movies, I gave this a nostalgia rating of 8.5 out of 10. I just wanted to issue that reminder.
8.5 out of 10. So I don't want you to reveal yet what your real rating will be at the end, but do you think it's changed at all?
Well, I can't tell you that because I know.
I just want to see if I could catch you out.
So, from the very get-go of this film, I feel that it presents like a whimsical fairy tale just because of the score. It's kind of a waltz sound to it. So I think right away it's setting you up for maybe a little unsettling, but not horror.
Horror.
Yeah. So my first timestamp is not till the 11-minute mark. What is your first timestamp?
I didn't have a ton of timestamps. I guess I did. I had more to the end of the movie. So my first one is 33:33.
Okay. So
But I will say that I started writing down predictions of what I thought the twist was going to be at the end.
oh, I'm excited for that because I made Zach, like most movies, I make him go in completely blind. And this movie, again, if you haven't watched it, do not listen to us yet until you've seen it, but then go back and listen to us because there are some twisty turnies.
So I want to pat myself on the back here. I called it from before the first piece of dialogue.
Really?
And Price can back me up. I watched it yesterday with Price, my friend Price, and I said, you may have to back me up because I don't know if she's going to believe me, but I called it from the first piece of dialogue. And then I didn't call all of it, but then between my first timestamp and my second timestamp, I wrote another prediction that called the whole thing.
Wow. I'm proud of you. That's really good because I don't. There was a couple things that alluded to the first twist for me when I first saw it.
Well,
but-
when it first opens up, she's in a mental institution, and then, I mean, that just right there, all of a sudden I'm thinking, all right, she's delusional, someone else is delusional, doesn't matter, things aren't what they appear. And then what's the most simple explanation is nobody's
that's
talking.
a simple explanation.
Well, I mean, but I know it's a horror movie. I know she's in a mental institution. Someone's delusional about something.
Oh, okay.
And it's going to be
She's an unreliable narrator.
Yeah, and so the first thing that pops into my head is, they're both ghosts. She's her own grandmother. None of this is real. She went back in time. Like they're all like all sorts of like weird conspiracy theories you can come up with when you know there's going to be a twist.
She's
and
her own grandmother.
and for this one, it's a mental thing. So that's going to be the twist. So someone in here isn't real. I think it's the sister.
Okay.
So that was my first prediction. Both sisters are the same person. That was what I wrote down.
Okay.
And then my second prediction, which is between the next two timestamps, was that all three of the women are the same person.
See, that's well done because I figured out the middle or younger sister thing until there was one specific thing that clued me in to the stepmother, but it wasn't. I'll say it was kind of closer to the end.
Well, so what clued me was, I mean, I've kind of got it written down for later, but we can go into it now. What clued me in on it was the stepmother was given pills at dinner, I think, and the older daughter and the stepmother were both doing the same thing. So they both laid out the same clothes in exactly the same configuration, and they both put books on her desk in exactly the same configuration with the same books. So I was like, okay, all right. We got some duplication going on here.
So why don't we start? I would like people to hear the waltz. So if we could hear a bit of the waltz from the beginning. Actually, I don't know that the intro song plays the full waltz. It's more waltzy.
Yeah, you can control it. You can just go where you want to go.
It's kind of slower. But at the very end is when it kind of becomes very waltzy. So it opens on a dark kind of green wallpaper with floral and the words kind of smoke away. And I just thought it was beautiful. And this is actual wallpaper that you see in the house of the film. It's not just like a recreation of wallpaper. So in this scene, the two sisters, Sumi and Soo-yeon, are going into the house. And they're being accosted by their stepmother.
I thought this scene was comedic.
Yeah. She said, I waited all day for you to come home. Why didn't say hi first? What were you up to? Kind of thing. So you can tell that she's a little unhinged. Like she's just too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the sisters are clutching their hands tighter together in the presence of their stepmother. She goes to investigate something on the leg of the younger sister, and she recoils back. And so you automatically know that something's off.
So I only watched this movie once. So I may have missed out on some things, and there's one thing in particular I have a question about. Actually, two things. I may as well write them down so I can bring them up when they come up.
I bet you're both tired. Get some rest and come down for dinner. I'm preparing a special dinner, but you have to give me some time. There's a lot to prepare.
Yeah, I liked how like overwhelmingly chipper she was. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it was a confrontational politeness.
But especially like the first shot you get of her coming down the hallway, it was almost like she was
illuminated.
I was going to say like a monster in a movie or like an animatronic or something. Like the camera kind of seemed scared of her as she kind of power walked down the hallway with like this possessed look in her eyes as she was just spouting off this like an endless series of chipper comments and stuff like that. I just thought it was very funny.
Nothing.
So what's your second?
You alluded to it. So Sumi, the oldest sister, goes into her room and she goes to put some books away and a journal. And it's already in the desk exactly the way she has it. And then she opens the closet and it's full of the same clothes arranged in a very similar way. And so it's like, are we setting her up to be gaslit? Like, but we obviously know the answer now, but that during the first watching, I was like, it felt like the stepmom may have been gaslighting her.
So like I said, I mean, I interpreted that as there was some psychological fuckery going on if I can use a technical industry term.
Yeah, sure.
But gaslight, I kind of got that that's how at least the character was interpreting it, like she was being gaslit, or I guess gaslit, but it just seemed like she was kind of being provoked in some way by she already laid out her books, and so like the stepmom already laid out the older sister's books, so the older sister is going to lay out the stepmother's job was to lay out her father's clothes or something like that, wasn't it?
The
undergarments. She was
yeah.
like, "Oh, that's my job,"
Yeah.
and she's like, "Well, it seemed like she had done that to get back at her," and I didn't understand why either of those situations would have been offensive.
Yeah, it just
So that kind of confused me.
releasing control, I guess. The dad's clothes thing is, taking care of the dad is my job. What are you doing? Get off my get out of my lane.
lawn.
Yeah.
But why would the books have been offensive?
It's just a weird thing to do. Like I don't think it's offensive, but it like
She seemed to be offended by it, and that's why she retaliated with undergarments.
well, the same clothes hung up in the same way, in the same books, and like because those were identical pieces of clothing in the closet.
Yeah. I just don't know why it's offensive.
It's a weird thing to do.
I suppose, yeah. It's
Like,
certainly weird, but I mean, again, I didn't know coming into it. I don't know how much of this is like why would you do that?
Yeah. And to me, because we know that she's coming home from an institution, if I was coming off of a stay at an institution and came home and someone replaced all of my clothes with identical clothes, I'd be like, what the heck are you doing? Like, I feel like I would do that with anyone who did that. But if I was sane and put in an institution, I would feel like I was being trapped or played with.
I don't even know what I'd make of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd care. I'd be like, are those her clothes, or did she go out and buy some identical clothes to just play a practical joke? Even if she did, is that so offensive? It's like, all right, that's kind of weird. I'll throw these away now. Put my clothes up.
I mean, I don't know about you. Sometimes if I find something I like, I'll buy a couple of them just in case the other wears out.
I've never done that.
Oh, I've done it with a pair of jeans. Like, because I was like, I really like these jeans.
I've had these jeans. These are my only pair of jeans. Honestly, my only pair of pants.
That's a dangerous game.
I mean, it's worked out, I guess. I've had these jeans for like 3 years. Mm-hmm. It may be time that I get some new ones, but I live on the edge. One pair of pants for like 3 years.
You're going to fall down the stairs one day and it's going to have a big tear down the backside of it. And then what are you going to do?
Oh, I've got like running shorts. So if I needed to make an emergency
pants run,
I could do it in my running shorts.
All right. So my next one is at minute mark 17:50 seconds. And my note is, I don't know if this is cultural, but I just hate the dad in this scene.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So at this scene, we are at the most awkward family meal possibly ever. And so I'm gonna let it play.
Let's do it. You're gonna have to do the narration. Actually, I'll do the dad. You do the sisters. Sorry, I have things to tend to. You must be tired, so clean it up tomorrow.
What the fuck, Dad?
Actually, what was just offensive there?
Why won't he help? You must be tired.
Well, we didn't
Let me help you clean it up.
Run it back a bit. I don't know what the context is here. You read.
Oh, right. I invited Sun Kyo and his wife over for dinner this weekend.
Really?
It'll be nice for them to see the girls after so long and to catch up on things.
Takes a sip of tea or coffee. That was delicious. Sorry, I have things to tend to. You must be tired, so clean it up tomorrow.
I'm sorry, that is not the appropriate response.
I thought, that was odd for me too. Like he is just completely like, I'm not going to answer your question. I don't have time. I have things to tend to.
I have things
Goodbye.
to tend to. I'm leaving. Also, you clean it up, whoa, man.
Oh, you thought that was the subtext? I am a man, therefore this means nothing to me. Clean it. I recognize you may be tired. Do it tomorrow.
Yeah. What the hell? Like, you must be tired. I just hate him so much. Okay, and
See, okay, that's interesting. I didn't develop a hatred for him in this movie.
What was
I didn't like him.
Was it in Casablanca or Jaws? It was Jaws, I think. You were the one to point out like the anti-feminist kind of tones of the way that the husband was treating the wife, and here I'm like, ooh, I hate him.
I mean, I didn't like him. I honestly I didn't catch that the first time that he said clean it up. What I think I was already laughing from the line before where he's like, he just didn't answer her, and he's like, I don't have time for this. I'm leaving. I have many important things to do.
He didn't even say that. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Okay.
Anyway, so I think I was already like laughing and geared up about the line before, so I don't think I caught that.
No, that bothered me so much. It's like, you must be tired.
Right.
So clean it up tomorrow. That is not how my marriage is going to work, I can assure you.
We'll see.
Mark may say, I don't feel like helping right now. Can we do it later as a together activity? But it's never going to be that.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad your marriage isn't destined to be like this fella's.
Yeah, well, for many reasons. So my next scene is at 2342. It's the classic horror creaking door.
I gotta say, so I'm gonna start revealing some of how I feel about the movie. Mm-hmm. I gotta say, like I said for Sleuth, I'm not a fan of movies that cut around and try to hold your attention just by being overly chaotic and exciting. Like, oh, we got to get to the next thing. Never have a calm moment because we just need to be showing the audience something so they never get bored. Mm-hmm. I don't like that. I like it when a movie has time to breathe, gives the actors room to give nuance to their performance, and a scene to just develop a character of its own, rather than just snapping from thing to thing. I really like that. But you can go too far. You can fetishize that idea. And I think this movie did that.
Okay.
I think this movie went too far, letting things breathe and letting things just sit. Like, because it would get to a point where scenes like the opening of a door, looking down a hallway or something like that, it would just last so long that I'd be like, okay, this movie's stopped. I'm going to pay attention to something else now. There's whatever's going on outside of the window. I just would lose interest. Like, just get to the thing. Just, okay, we've got it. There's a door here. It's opening. Let it open. Let me see. I would get so it wasn't like an intensity thing from being like scared from the
it was too slow
anticipation. Yeah, I would lose interest. It was a battle for my patience.
Oh, that is a stellar review.
So there were a lot of moments like that. Now, not again, but to be clear, I thought the directing was overall good. I liked the artistic. I liked artistic bits and the way they shot things, the way they colorized and did contrast for a lot of the scenes. I thought was really good. But it lingered too long on some things.
Do you have to? Do you have to? Do you have to let it linger?
Is that from something?
It's a song.
Oh.
From the Cranberries.
Cranberries?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
The Cranberries, they did the song Zombie.
What? Can you sing a snatch?
No.
Okay.
But I can pull it up.
Sure.
I'd be amazed if you had not heard the song.
Oh, yeah. Zombie. Which is exactly as well as they sang it. Mm-hmm. Just kidding. I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be insulting. I know that song. Yeah.
But they also have a song called Linger. So I will also say the lead singer of the Cranberries died not too long ago. So my condolences to her family and friends and fans. I know it was unexpected and devastating.
Yeah. How old was she?
She wasn't very old. You always have follow-up questions that I don't have the answers to.
I know. I'm just a natural conversationalist. I ask probing questions because I listen and I care.
So the lead singer, Dolores O'Riordan, she died in January of 2018.
At age 32.
46. So very sad, but yes. It was a big setup for a joke that wasn't that funny.
I can't believe how good this was. Oh, sorry.
Now I feel like it's kind of antagonizing.
Does that feel better?
Now I feel like Debbie Downer. Okay.
Now let's get back to our upbeat movie.
Yes. The classic creaking door is what I've titled this.
All right. right, so we're looking from inside the girl's bedroom at a door. Oh my goodness, it's an intense creak.
Yeah, no, it's when I said the classic creaking door. Can you think of a more like iconic sounding creaking door?
That's the creakiest door
Yeah.
in all of cinema. All right, so we get a hand that's about to little curl around the door here.
And she hides under her sheets, kind of. So I also wanted to say, you know, a lot of people do that. Like in movies, if they're scared of something, they're like, I'm asleep. Mm-hmm. Can't get me if I'm asleep.
I had the exact same thought and commentary when I first watched this part.
I mean, I feel like as an adult, I will not let my foot dangle off the bed or my foot be uncovered because...
That's crazy.
No, that's when the monster's going to get you. It's going to get you by the foot.
Yeah, in a movie though, right? Not in real life.
No, real life Allison will still pull her feet under the sheets. Like sometimes I'll like sneak my foot out like in my comfort, you know, just to like let a little bit of me get the cool air. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, monster, tuck it right back in.
Yeah, that's silly.
I'm a silly person.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I had the same thought that it's odd that you pull the sheets over your head or whatever when a monster's coming in your room. Why? Don't you want to know that what's happening to you?
I'm definitely sleeping.
Like the monster doesn't... Oh, the monster comes in and is about to kill you. Oh, she's asleep. I guess I'll move on.
Part of the joy I get out of eating youths is the fear.
And
so if they're not awake, I'm not really getting any nutrition out of this.
Exactly. Yeah.
So she's gotten into the bed with her older sister.
왜 그래? 꿈 꿨어?
Did you have a bad dream? She shakes her head.
옷장 때문에 그래.
Was it the wardrobe? She
So-
shakes her head.
This is the first time in the movie where they allude to something is wrong with the wardrobe.
Yep.
At what point did you figure out what is wrong with the wardrobe?
I don't think I ever figured it out until it showed us. Until
Yeah.
it showed the mom.
Okay, well, just because you kind of figured certain things out, I just wasn't sure if you had any theories early on about what the wardrobe was.
Oh, well, at one point, yeah, I don't know that I ever did have a good theory. I knew that it meant something. I knew that there was a trauma or something associated with it. I don't know that I'd ever really formed a theory about what that trauma was.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I will say though that so my I won't spoil it yet, which is actually ironic for the listener, remember what I'm saying now, because when I reveal what I am going to say later, it'll be really funny and you'll have a good laugh to yourself. So at around the 51-minute mark, I'm going to have a thought about this movie, but I'm not going to tell you what it is yet.
Okay.
Okay.
So my next clip is the eldest sister is going to the refrigerator for some water, and something strange is in the refrigerator.
Oh, I'm glad you put this because I didn't put a timestamp on this. Mm-hmm. Why did she get all freaked out?
Well, I couldn't tell what it was.
It's a fish head, I think.
Oh, so was it? So, in the many times I've watched it, I did not know the link to the original fairy tale.
All right.
So part of me wondered if this was a nod to the original fairy tale of what was found in the eldest daughter's bed.
Well, but later in the movie, there are dead birds in the bed. So I figured that's what it would have been.
Yeah, I'm not sure because the thing about the blood and the smell, like it didn't seem fish to me. It seemed like it was like a skinned animal of some sort.
Mm. But yeah, let's play it. I was really...
She opens and is drinking some water.
This just seemed to be another element of the movie. It seemed to be taking a lot of swings in different directions. From a first-time viewer, I don't know how these things connect, and this seems to be a literal red herring. I mean, actually, the most literal of red herrings possible. It is literally a dead fish that's red.
See, I didn't know it was a fish. So she smells something smelled amiss. She's opening a parcel in the refrigerator.
Maybe they were just playing a joke on the audience. Maybe they wanted a literal red herring. All right, she's opening the little thing. She went into the fridge. She's opening some paper right now that contains something. She's doing it really slowly for some reason. Then she drops it. Piano plays, and we look down, and it's a fish head.
So is that a fish head though? Like,
Well,
it's,
run it back if you want. I thought it was a fish head when I looked at it. I couldn't really see there.
then it pans to the grandma stepmom just like sitting in front of a TV, just kind of being weird.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. So Pills, she's acting weird. Everyone's acting. All the women are acting weird, and they're all on their
Would be
periods.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
What's in the bag?
Well, what can you make? It looks that. See how that looks like a fish head and a tail.
So I'm still having a hard time seeing it. It's
Well, if you see, like, all this would be the middle of the fish. This is just the head with the eye.
but what's this bit?
Whip it.
So
Point at it again.
there's kind of like a lump right there.
No, I see the tail. So it goes off into a fin here, fin there, and it just gets cut off right there.
So it could be a weird corpse of a fish, but why would you? I guess you can make like broth from it, but I don't know. It seemed weird, but I think like
I just don't know what's surprising about it.
so to me it looked like a skinned animal, and so that's like that would be kind of jarring to me. But not being able to see it clearly, it's hard to say.
I don't know. It really, it looks obviously like a fish to me. Like, head,
Like that to me
tail.
looks like it could be an organ of some sort, like a heart meat or
well, in the middle, there's nothing. Like, this is just wet bag
yeah.
or paper,
So
whatever.
it looks like two little chunks. Like that's a little chunk and that's a little chunk. So I didn't
Yeah.
see a fish.
Oh. So you're still not seeing it?
I see what you could be meaning, but it seemed awfully red blood for fish. Fish doesn't typically.
I don't see any red, though.
Oh, it's red all over, and that could be.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So, well, to me, it just looked like wet. It looked like the paper was wet.
No, this is bloody.
Well, I don't know. I mean, then maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's weird because it's a fish and it's also weird and bloody. So maybe that's what's surprising about it.
Maybe,
I don't know.
or it could just be a fish is a fish.
It's a red herring, man.
Yeah. So, my next clip is at 33:25.
Might as well. I think. Okay, so we're probably doing the same moment. Isn't this the mother?
Yes.
The mother ghost. All right.
At least that we don't know that yet as a viewer, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we are in the girls' room, right?
And we see and hear.
So all we see is what appears to be a head kind of moving along the line of the baseboard of the bed, I think.
But it's important to note that what you hear is a rope. You hear is kind of like a taut rope.
Oh, I don't.
Here, turn it up.
It's going to be bassy.
No treble. It's turning around.
All right. So now you get the idea that it looked like a hanging. Oh, okay. So I took that to be floorboards.
So yeah, the way that the posture is done, you can kind of feel like it's someone hanging.
Because the leg came up like it was walking. So I thought it was floorboards. And now you can just hear like a staticky noise. So yeah, you get the hanging effect. There's like the head tilting to one side. The arms were kind of dangly. And now we're going to get blood coming down. Oh, first, you see the face kind of coming out.
A little bit of the face through the darkness of
And
the hair.
when I was watching it, I couldn't decide whose face that was. I guess it's the mother's, obviously, but it looked like one of the sisters. And you get blood running down the leg and a hand kind of crawling down the leg. So my question is, knowing what we know that that's the mother's ghost.
Now,
Right.
but we didn't then.
What does the blood in the hand mean? So the blood seems like it could be symbolic of...
Birth, like I kind of got a birth analogy out of that.
Yeah. But what's the hand?
I
I don't know. It seemed like it was just, hey, what's scary? not what makes sense or what could be reasonably interpreted a certain way that's meaningful.
So there's different cultural things that I'll say are apparent in this movie and in movies like Ju-on and The Ring
Right.
that I don't understand.
Right.
That I wonder if it's so ingratiated into a cultural understanding of certain tropes of horror.
Yeah.
Like the hair. There's a lot of hair play in horror in different Asian cultures.
Right. And that's something that I don't think needs to be symbolic of anything. That's just a trope that's in Asian culture. Like American ones have their own tropes and stuff like that. This is just an Asian trope of the hair being over the face of the girl or the guy or whatever it is.
Well, the length of the hair and the way the hair is almost its own life form. Yeah.
Oh, so you think that actually does have a symbolism?
I think it has something to do with an understood ghost story or background that I don't understand.
Yeah, and maybe so.
So part
Yeah.
of me wonders if the hand and the mother and those are related to tropes that I just don't understand. I was willing to swallow that as an American viewer, being like, this is probably a concept that makes sense where that is else, but not to me. But it's still really creepy.
Yeah. So I had this as my first timestamp because it was the first real scare moment. I thought it was reasonably scary. I felt like it was trying to be symbolic of something, and I didn't quite get it. I didn't quite get where it was going, and that may be a cultural thing, and fair play. But it wasn't universal enough, and I feel like there's symbolism, especially visual sort of symbolism. I feel like should, for the most part, be cross-cultural, unless it is just referring to something visually specific to your culture, which seems odd. I don't know, but maybe that could be a thing. But I feel like visual symbolism should kind of be cross-cultural, and it shouldn't be particular to a language or anything like that. It could be universal. I think the best symbolism is universal anyway, and this didn't strike that balance to me. But again, it may be referencing something very specific to either Korean or more broadly Asian culture that I just don't get.
You, the viewer, what do you think? Or listener. I keep calling you viewers. You're not watching us. You're listening.
They might be looking at the album art.
They might be. In which case, look into our rose-tinted 3D glasses and tell us, what do you think?
And maybe you just know more than we do about it, and you think we're, gibbering idiots.
Well, I would like to think of us as maybe willing to be taught, not a gibbering idiot.
I'm fine being labeled as a gibbering idiot.
Yes. Well.
So, but if in fact you do know the answer to what we're talking about, we would love to hear from you. So reach out on the socials, and we'll pick it up.
Yeah, we want to pick up what you're putting down.
So anyway, there was the slow reveal, which is a repeating thing that I'm going to say. I thought it was too slow. Her walking along the ground.
To me, it just allowed me more time to be stressed.
Yeah. I mean, because when I see the first bit of the head kind of walking and I hear the creaking of the floorboards, I'm like, all right, we're about to see something crazy. We're about to see a ghost or some sort of monster. Let's see it. Like
You're so impatient.
Yeah, maybe I've just been spoiled by seeing so many other horror movies. Like I know where I am here.
Yeah.
I know where I am in this situation. Let's see it.
You've been to enough haunted houses and shook the hands of the performers that did a good job.
Yeah.
You got me. Well done.
Yeah, that's the thing that happened.
We were at, I think, Zach's first haunted house, and he boasted, I will go first, and got scared in this, camper that was in the middle of the cornfield.
Yeah, I think we had walked through a cornfield or something, and there was like a little shack or something. And we walked through the shack, and there was someone that jumped out of a closet or something.
And he jumped back into the strong arms of my cousin. And he went up to the actor. He was like, well done. Well done.
You got me.
You got me. You.
So, yeah. Anyway.
There's several times where Zach has made a character go lose their character in haunted houses.
What was it? Oh,
the redneck.
Yeah, I do what I call him, racist or something.
Yeah. So at the end of one of the haunted houses we went to, the very last room is the redneck zombie cannibal trope. Why
Right.
that's a trope, I don't know.
Hey, that's America for you.
But
That's our tropes.
What this haunted house more than others, the actors, it felt like were trying to berate us. And Zach is not very cooperative of being berated.
No, I don't suffer it.
No. I cannot see Zach, for instance, going into the army for this reason, because I just imagine the drill sergeant doing their darn best, and then Zach's like, uh-huh. So in this,
I'm going to go over here and have a sandwich.
well, I'm not gonna. And in this room, there's like the actor. You could tell he was really playing up the character, but Zach just kind of.
I think it was the rebel flag hanging in the background, and I think I drew attention to that and was talking about racist heritage or something like that.
And he said something like it's not this is culture or something.
Yeah, it was exactly that thing.
And then I forget what you said back, but the actor just like, just go. There's a
I know.
chainsaw coming. Just go.
Totally threw him off.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever, just the next room's over there.
I cannot continue. He is a professional actor.
Yeah, maybe the egg was on my face. Maybe he was a trained Shakespearean actor and he was just trying to get through his thing.
Yeah.
But then again, the show must go on, and he was thrown
He
off.
just couldn't. I think there are different things that could throw any of us off our game, and you just happened to get him.
I hit the right button.
You did.
Anyway, but yeah, so I thought that the reveal there's value.
It lingered.
Yeah, there's a value in letting it linger a little bit to draw out the tension of the moment, and I thought it overstayed its welcome.
Get out of here.
Yeah, you can get out.
All right. What do you got next?
My next one is 51-ish.
Okay.
It's not a particular moment. It was I at this point in the movie I had a thought.
Okay. Mine is at 46:15.
All right, so we'll go to yours first.
누가 그랬어?
Who did this to you? Says the older
누가
sister.
그랬어?
Tell me, who did this?
괜찮아.
It's
말해.
okay. Tell me.
So on her wrist, there's bruising and a
She
scratch.
did this.
그 여자가 그런 거지.
She did this, didn't she?
The younger sister pulls her
What's
hands
wrong
around.
with you?
왜 이래?
I told you. Tell me everything.
그 여자가 그런 거지.
She did this, right? She did this, huh? Who did this to you? Tell me. And she.
The younger sister screams and breaks her hands free of the elder sister and runs away with the new treasures that the elder sister had gone and got some of her mom's belongings from a shed.
So, so why did she have the cut? The bruising, because the thing at the end falls on her.
So the thing on the end falls on her, but she's also like scratching, trying to.
She's like scratching at the wood.
She's scratching at the wood, but there's also hangers that I think cause the scratching.
Okay.
Because
See, that to
she's
me,
flailing around.
that to me seemed like another red herring. To me, when I saw that, I was like, okay, this confirms my theory. She's dead. She killed herself. Because it looked like she was trying to cut her wrist.
Yeah, it looks like a gash.
Anyway, so that seemed like another red herring to me.
Yeah. But yeah, out of all the characters in this movie, the youngest sister's the one that I truly feel the worst for. She had the worst out of anyone in this.
In the movie, she didn't exist.
Well, if she had existed, and she did exist, and in the very end, we get to see the flashback.
Oh, I mean, at some point she existed, but during this part of the movie, the only part we really see her are she appears as a burned up ghoul or something under the sink.
Yeah, which is coming up on my next.
Yeah. So like she exists in that way, but for the most part, when we see her in this movie, she's just
because there's an
delusion.
actor there and we're seeing a story being told with that, I'm going to say she is a character present that I have empathy for.
Sure. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. So what time are we on right now?
48:37.
And what's your next thing?
51:33. The dinner party from hell.
So just go to that and so around this time in the movie, I've got it written in my notes. It's not a specific thing that happened. I just had this thought and I wanted to jot it down. This is what I was alluding to earlier.
Okay.
And that's it. We're almost an hour into this movie. And from a first viewing, I have no idea what this movie's about. Mm-hmm. I have been given no information on any characters, and that adds to my frustration, and I can't feel anything for any of the characters because I don't know what to make of their conflicts. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about them. I don't know anything about any of their situations. Some of them might not be real, but I don't know. And I'm frustrated by the movie at this point. I don't know what I'm watching. And I don't know how to care, or even if I do.
I want to make the decision if I need to be caring now.
I don't know. And so, yeah, so it was, let me see, what else have I written? Yeah, that's it. At this point in the movie, I'm not liking it because I don't know what I'm watching.
Okay.
So what you were saying at the beginning, before we started watching it, was that you like that they didn't spoon feed us information. And I totally am on board with that for most movies.
You just want a little spoon.
Give us a little bit. I want to know what I'm watching. I thought that was, they went too far with trying to keep information from us. So like I said, there's a value in not spoon feeding. So give us a little bit so we kind of know where we're going. And then at the end, hit us over the head with the big twist and like all this other information, which if we on a second viewing makes a lot of things make more sense. That's awesome. But some of it has to make some amount of sense for the first viewing.
He is really mad at this movie.
It was driving me crazy. It really was.
So the scene that we're tapping into right now, we are having the stepmom's, I think it's her brother, come in with his wife or girlfriend. I don't know that they ever say wife or girlfriend. I don't know.
So it was the brother of who?
The stepmom.
Okay. So the stepmom is not real for most of this movie.
But we don't know that.
Yes. I think, well, okay, so this was my question. So is the stepmom in this scene real?
No.
Okay. So the story she was telling,
completely out of her butt. That's why he was so frustrated. It's like, no, I don't remember this.
Okay, so she was, okay. So the story she was telling wasn't real. Mm-hmm. I thought it was real, but it was awkward and uncomfortable for him. And so he didn't want to talk about it.
No, I think she was just making up a story. And then my favorite is at the end of it, she's like, are you crazy or something?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I'm like,
ugh. She gets serious randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she did a good job. I thought her acting was very good, and that was a creepy turn. Yeah. She has a couple creepy turns in the movie. So I thought that was nice, and I wasn't sure what to make of. I wasn't sure if she was supposed to be real for this scene, like she came in from out of town or something.
No, the first time that she comes in is at the end.
Okay, and why? Where was she?
We don't know where she was, but we know that the father says, no, I don't think you being here would be helpful right now. And then he's like, I can't do it alone. You need to come. So that's the first time she comes in.
Okay. I mean, I feel like that could have been interpreted as we know that you wouldn't be helpful because we've seen, or it's not like if she had been real in that scene, she hadn't interacted with the sisters, so they wouldn't have known yet. So maybe he's still saying, I don't think it would be helpful if you were here because, whatever. But I don't know if it was completely explicitly said that she hadn't been, but I buy that she wasn't real for this scene. And it was my opinion that she wasn't real for any of the movie until she came back. I'm just saying I don't think any lines were explicitly laid.
Right. So the only reason I came to my conclusion was the call that the dad had.
Right. Okay. So she was just totally making up this story.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and play it. So, you can hear just kind of the weird. So, and that's also an interesting thing that we are watching the stepdaughter do an interpretation of how she views the stepmother. Is the stepmother really as she's portraying her? This really uptight.
Yeah.
Like.
I don't know. I mean, we don't see enough of the real her.
To get that. I mean,
you see her at the very end and like holding her arm, trying to comfort her.
She still seems kind of evil there too.
You think?
Oh, I think.
I don't know if I got that impression, but maybe I would on a second viewing. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I never thought highly of the stepmom, but let's watch the dinner.
Are you going to do the lines of the stepmom and I'll do everyone else's lines?
Yeah.
All right.
We get to see an interesting pan of the house. The dad emerges from his study. He already looks fatigued. the stepmom has turned up the music. She's all dressed up and looks like super happy to see everyone. And now the gentleman and his wife come in and they look uncomfortable already.
What did they just pour into the glass? It looks like high C.
그런 적 있었지?
It's supposed to be red wine.
한데
It doesn't look like wine.
Memory's a bit blurry, but I think it did happen. When was it? Hey, I remember this.
왜 동네 조그만
You jumped into the river to catch some fish?
물에 빠져서
Then you started to drown and everyone had a fit.
뒤집어놨었잖아.
Okay, so on the first viewing,
그런 일도 있었어요.
There was another funny story. What was it?
can you pause it real quick? So on the first viewing, when I wasn't really sure what was what, I was buying into this might have been the real her. And just watching the husband or the father, I was just loving watching him.
Just eating and not reacting.
Yeah, for this whole scene, I was just looking at him.
All the other characters at the dinner table are deadpan, and it's uncomfortable. Like the wife or girlfriend of the brother, she just looks like, can we please leave?
So this is 50, whatever. Okay, so at about 54, you can just let the scene play. At 54:30 is where I had it jotted down that I mean, I burst out laughing when he put his glass down really slowly in a silence in the conversation. I died laughing.
So she says, "Oh yeah, remember this that crazy guy?"
동네에 미친 사람 하나 있었잖아. 근데 웃기는 게
The funny thing is that he was usually normal,
비만 오면
but
갑자기
whenever it
미친 거야.
rained, he went nuts.
밭에 가서 밥 갈다가도
While
비가 오면
plowing the
갑자기
field,
옷을
he'd
벗어
strip off his
벗어
clothes
벗어
if it rained
길거리로 신장도로 막 뛰어다니고.
and run out into the motorway.
제일 웃겼던 게
Read the room.
한 번은 비가
The
오락가락
funniest
한
time is
거야.
when it rained off and on.
근데 이 사람이 옷을
So he'd put it on and take off his clothes again and again.
I thought her physical acting was very good here.
자기가 지치니까 그냥 집으로
And he
들어가서
got sick of it and just went into his house. No one is laughing. No one is smiling.
그때 동네 사람들이 얼마나 배를
Everyone in the neighborhood laughed so much back then.
아유 근데 제가 그걸 한번 보고서 제가 아주 어렸을 때인데
But when he was little, he saw
그걸
him doing
한번
it
보고서
once.
자기도 그 사람 같이 뛰는
Then he ran together with that crazy guy.
She's dying. She's just not reading the room at all. Nobody cares.
질색했죠.
Our mom saw that and almost passed out. Do you remember? You remember it, right?
왜 말을 안 해? 기억 안 나?
Say something, don't you?
I mean, I think it is odd that nobody has said, like, okay, no, that wasn't a thing. Let's continue on with some other line of dialogue.
아니,
No, I don't remember.
기억 안 나.
뭐?
What?
그런 기억
I said,
없다고.
I don't remember. Gearing up for him putting the glass down. She is just,
Beside herself.
she's not buying it.
There's kind of an empathetic look coming from the
Yeah.
Mihi.
And see, all of this makes much more sense on a second viewing, which is nice, but
기억 안 나.
Why don't you remember?
because it didn't happen, lady. He didn't say that. That was me.
너 미쳤어.
Are you crazy?
Put the glass down. Put the glass down. Here it is.
Like, he doesn't move his shoulders.
No.
It's just the glass.
Looked like a machine, like an animatronic thing.
Okay, and so I feel so bad for the girlfriend Mihi. In this scene, she starts to have a seizure out of nowhere.
And she sees the ghost of Su Yun under the sink. So I wasn't sure how much of this was real. Like, so whenever you saw an apparition, I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be someone's delusion or if it was brought about by a haunted house. Like, and it's not real, but it's making you see things. It's making everyone delusional. I wasn't sure what was what, but it seems like since she saw it, and maybe this seizure was brought on by the ghost.
Well, at the very end, we learned that the house is truly haunted.
Well, I think this Later, she says that she saw somebody under the sink. So I think that
there
is
was a girl under the sink.
yeah. So I thought that was evidence that at least that ghost is real. I don't know. Did we ever get confirmation that the mom was real, or if that was a dream?
We don't know, and that's part of the hard part of an unreliable narrator. So Sumi saw the mother, but we don't know.
All right. So now she's choking and
She's full seizing, and then
Looking-
stepmom. Do you notice the breathing? There wasn't always her own, like, kind of panicked breathing.
that was what? No,
If you listen to the breathing of her before she
the
screams,
stepmom. Yeah.
it was blended with Sumi.
Oh, the actual actor of
Yeah.
Sumi.
Yeah, with the kind of panicked breathing in.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. It adds another layer. Like that I never realized until I read up on that. But now they're driving and Mihi says,
미안해 미희야.
I'm sorry.
나도 내려오기 싫었는데.
I didn't want to come,
매형이
but
부탁해서 거절할 수가
Moo-hyun
없었어.
something, so I had no choice.
begged me.
자기야,
Begged me.
Honey,
어,
Yes.
나 아까 그
I
집에서
saw something
이상한 거
strange in that
봤어.
house.
뭘 봤는데?
What did you see?
싱크대 밑에
There was a
어떤
girl
여자를-
under the kitchen sink. And this is the first time you kind of get the impression, I think, that there's more delusion, more haunting than just delusion.
Certainly, yeah. I think that was a confirmation that the girl under the sink was Soo Yun.
Well, also the way she's dressed alludes to the way she's dressed in the broken picture that we get to see later.
I didn't really catch how she was dressed.
There's a scene where she's in a picture and she's wearing a green dress with kind of blue trim, and you kind of see the same sleeves with the bloodied girl under the sink.
Oh, to be honest, I could not tell she was wearing clothes, what they could have been. She just looked like a bloody mess or something.
Yeah. And I will say the scene that's about to happen is a scene that always makes me jump and
But
just like almost. I know you're not a huge fan of jump scares, but this scene always makes me like
I mean, if you use
the scene that's coming up.
yeah, if you use a jump scare parsimoniously in your movie, like for a special moment, but if they're just all over the place in your movie, I think it's cheap.
Okay, so this is, I think, one of the only jump scares.
Yeah, and I credit this movie with not having a ton of jump scares, and it was
'Cause ghost
mainly a
movies
creepy.
love a jump scare.
Yeah, and they love an upside down cross. God save me, do they love an upside down cross?
You know, one of the reasons I suggested this is because it didn't have any of the Catholic Christian tropes in it.
Wrong.
It doesn't.
Well, there was one crucifix.
Yeah, but that didn't have anything to do with anything.
No, it didn't. I just thought it was interesting. I was not expecting to see an appearance by Jesus in this movie.
Well, Jesus is everywhere, you know.
He's in our hearts.
So my next scene is at 5850, which is the jump scare scene. It's so simple, but I think very effective how they did this.
Which moment is this? I feel like I had something I was going to say, but I've forgotten it. But what's the jump scare?
She's reaching for the barrette, and something grabs her hand.
Oh, right. Yep. Ooh, I'll tell you, there was another moment of you can scan ahead. There was another moment of a hand, I think, doing something creepy in this.
Lots of hands.
There was
Give him a hand.
there was a moment later in the movie. I think I forget who it was. I think it was the stepmom walking into a room.
The very, very end.
Yeah, near the very end, and the door locks behind her.
Yeah.
But right when you come into the room, she opens the door, I think, and there's like a sheet or a blanket or something covering the wall. Maybe it was a tapestry.
Yeah, it's there's one of those kind of bowed out windows, so it's like a sheet covering the chair on that ledge.
Okay. But right when she opens the door, there's something dangling below the blanket and quickly gets pulled up. And you can't quite tell what it was. I thought it was a hand. But if we can slow it down and see what it is, I'd be interested. I think it was like a bluish, like dead-looking hand, and it was quickly drawn up, and then you can see a little bit of rustling under the blanket, and then it goes still.
So right now, the stepmom is looking under the kitchen sink. She saw something. As she's looking behind her, you see a girl in a green dress sitting at the kitchen table.
Oh, so this was another one of the moments like where, look how slowly she is like lifting her head. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to stare at her face for a while.
We hear a sound. Stepmom is now looking scared. And she turns to look at the table.
Very, very slowly.
And there's nothing there.
Although in a previous shot, doesn't it actually show a body in the chair?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Oh, I was staring at her. And
Yeah, no, there's a girl in a green dress in the chair. Now she's looking
Oh, okay.
back forward.
So the green dress, is that
Soo-yun,
Soo-yun's? Oh, okay.
the younger sister.
So I like that.
So
I like
now-
that they actually showed that.
There's a barrette on the floor.
Because I didn't catch that the first time I viewed it. I knew someone was there, but I didn't know who it was. But I'm glad that that person was dressed like the picture.
And she's reaching her hand slowly for the barrette.
So slowly. So very slow. And then grasps it.
Every time I jump. And then we see the same girl in the green dress that we now know to be
And then pills.
Soo-yun.
And it was pills. We keep seeing pills throughout the movie.
Yep. Pills that look like they're aspirin, but we know are supposed to be antipsychotics.
Possibly.
Can't you just stay here?
Okay, so pause real quick. So several times as Sumi is, or the older sister is thinking she's the stepmom and speaking to her father, she says things like, I'm trying to remember a specific instance, but I'm sure she has said something to him like, my sister has said this, or the stepmother has done this, or whatever. And he doesn't immediately like, all right, you've gone insane, we're taking you back in, or anything like that. And also, he says, tell me what's on your mind. And she's like, oh, you wouldn't even believe me or whatever, or would it make a difference?
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
wouldn't
I don't know,
care.
give it a shot. Just tell him. Why won't you just tell him?
So, you've never been a teenage girl.
I've been a teenage boy.
Well, there's a lot of times where teenage girls are kind of stereotyped into being more reserved or closed off when dealing with issues. So like in this case, she it's like, you wouldn't understand me, Dad.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's probably the same for boys.
Oh, so I've never been a teenage boy,
I have.
but I've seen it more associated with a teenage girl.
Well, I mean, I think the stereotype of a teenage girl is they're willing to get upset about things that don't matter, but that they're
also
very
given-
open about everything that upsets them, and they'll say they'll say what's wrong, but then when someone doesn't respond the way that they respond, they say, "Oh, you don't understand." But the trope I think of the teenage boy is holds everything inside.
I will say that teenage girls are also stereotypically allowed to have more feelings than guys.
Right.
So in this case, I don't know. I feel like I mean she also has gone through a lot of crap. So I mean the Sumi that we get to see here has already been mentally berated from what we find out happened to her. So I think she holds a lot of contempt for her father. And so I think that's why she's like, why would I bother to tell you? It wouldn't change or help anything. I know what it's like to try to tell you things. And maybe I'm giving her too much credit.
No, I mean, I buy what you're saying. What was... See, I'm wondering if I've missed something about the real reality. What did her dad do that she can't seem to forgive?
He brought his mistress to come live at home with them. And that drove her mother to commit suicide.
Okay. All right. So, that it was a little bit of the timeline part that I couldn't... I wasn't sure if we were seeing things... This was all at the end. We saw her brought in, and Sumi was confronting her. But it was like right after she walked out of the room where she saw her mom and Soo-yun under the wardrobe. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't sure if that was actually happening all at the same time or if she was mashing together memories or something like that.
So I think it's the first time that we're exploring the true past of what led from point A to point B, which is the start of the movie we just watched.
Right.
Yeah. And the famous line, what could be worse than being with you here in this moment?
Yeah, yeah.
Which
She says right after seeing her mom.
she did. The sister didn't. Sumi did not know about the mom and Suyun.
Well, when she walked in, Soo-yun was scratching at the wood underneath.
So we hear.
And why wasn't Soo-yun saying anything?
She was. Well, she's being smothered. That's how she died. She was smothered by her mom. Like she's muffled.
Oh, maybe I missed that. But I thought she was making some noises.
She's screaming and like help me kind of, but like you can.
I don't know. I feel like she could have done more. She wasn't saying anything. She was making kind of moaning noises. She wasn't even going like, "Hey, I wonder here. Can you please?" And she wasn't like tapping. She wasn't making a loud noise.
Well,
she was like scraping
grabbing at things, trying to like she grabbed.
I don't know. That seems so like
She was smacking her hand on the ground. So
she was doing this. She was like scratching at the edge of the wood.
No, you could see her grab one of the coat hangers and like slam it on the ground as best she could.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Then I missed that.
So she saw the feet of the stepmom come into the room and then leave. And the stepmom has this moment. She's like, what am I doing? And she's about to go back and help her. Then she has the run in with Sumi. And she's like, you know what? Fuck these kids. And
Okay. So I must have like looked away or something at part of this.
yeah.
I think, well, because at a certain point I was like, all right, the movie's over. And so I stopped. I stopped taking things in, kind of.
Oh. So I don't think you watched the true end of the film.
I mean, I did. I got all the events, but I seem to have missed some of the flavor here.
Yeah.
Actually, some of the meat, seemingly.
Yeah. Which part of made it so good was the last bit.
Well, but that bothered me. Like, none of the movie makes any sense until the very end. And that I just don't think that's good enough.
Okay.
I think
So I think we
something has to
fast-forward
make.
to your review. You didn't like it.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's good enough for nothing to make sense until the very end. No. Something has to make sense. There has to be something for the viewer to care about the first time they watch. It's really good to have it layered so you pick up on new things the second viewing. And there was nothing for the first viewing.
Okay.
But it is, and going back and seeing scenes and seeing the nuance of people's performance, knowing what I know now, super interesting. So this is a much better movie on the second viewing, but the first viewing was not. Not for me. Not for me.
Okay. So right now we're at the halfway point of the movie, and flash forward to know that Zach did not love it so much. I don't have anything here.
But there were things that I did like about the movie. So I didn't hate the movie. It was like a general bubbling frustration that like I just didn't have anything to grab onto.
Okay.
And maybe that's, I've heard people say that didn't Gabe say it in The Office? He said everyone was like, it narratively doesn't even make sense. And he was like, maybe the director knew that even a narrative was comforting. And so like I'm thinking maybe that's what this is. Like they didn't want us to know what was happening and maybe that would be more stressful.
Yeah, well, and it kind of to me it felt stressful and uncomfortable, kind of like Hereditary, like that movie. I was uncomfortable throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, so was I. And I liked Hereditary.
Yeah.
And because they gave us stuff to grab onto, we knew what the narrative was about. And then at the end, you understand more. And like there are twists and turns you can take. But we there was something to care about and to know while we were watching it for the first time.
And more creepy wallpaper scene happening right now. What's about to happen is Sumi is about to, first the stepmom is about to abuse Soo-yun and lock her in the wardrobe because the girls have killed her birds.
Oh, yeah. And so why was Sumi killing birds?
Because they belonged to the stepmom, and she was mad at that.
But she wasn't consciously doing it as Sumi, was she?
Well, she wasn't anyone else. So we don't know what her mindset was when she was doing it. the father finds the bird cage. This scene was hard for me, as you know, because I don't like animal death.
Yeah. It's going to very slowly lift it.
And we see the stepmom kind of looking on from some weird window. I don't know where she is, like standing, but she's observing the finding of the dead bird.
Oh, that's interesting. Actually, I remember thinking that a couple times throughout the movie. Like sometimes it would cut between characters, and I wasn't sure where they were spatially connected to each other.
Yeah. So in this scene, she's kind of looking through some plants. So now she's going to go take out her aggression on the youngest daughter because Sumi would fight her back. So I think that there is a tactical element of abusing the youngest daughter because she's more passive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can kind of see it on Soo-yeon's face when she removes her blanket that she looks as equally freaked out at seeing the birds. She's like, whoa, what the bird's doing here?
So, okay. I've got a timestamp at 113 and 120.
Okay. Those match up a little bit with...
Okay, so the one at 120 kind of goes along with what you were just saying, that she's trying to pick on the weakest member of the family. Mm-hmm. But I noted 120 as kind of the first time something happened to a character and I was emotionally invested in it.
Okay.
Because everything else, they're having conflict, but I don't really know what to make of any of it. But this time, even if she's not real, there has been an established relationship between them and an established abusive relationship. And so for this to I think this was the scene where she was put into a bag.
I made kind of a note there that I realized it's kind of out of character comment for me, but it was just you can never find scissors when you need them. Because the sister's freaking out trying to open the bag and she's looking in the drawer and there's no scissors. I'm like, yeah, every time I look for scissors, they're not where I left them.
I like that was your instinct right there.
It may be because... So right now, the stepmom is yelling at the younger sister to get off the bed, and her knee crunches upon something under the sheets. As she lifts it, we see the dead bird.
So this is Soo-yeon's bed, and so presumably under the personality of Soo-mi, she would have killed the bird.
Mm-hmm. But you could see that Soo-yeon here had no idea that the bird was there, and so she's equally as freaked out now.
But I feel like when we see Soo-mi, when she is Soo-mi, she wouldn't have done something like that. That seems out of character for her.
It seems like something the stepmother would have done.
Right, or maybe not even that. I don't know. Maybe there's a fourth personality in there.
The ghost.
Oh, you think maybe it wasn't Soo-mi at all? It was the ghost doing that?
And maybe the ghost or the spirit or the energy of the house is its own personality.
Possibly. That makes more sense to me than Soo-mi doing it.
So Soo-yeon is being dragged into the wardrobe that we know now is where the mother died. We don't know that as the viewer, but Zach and I know it because we watched the movie.
Yes.
And you should have too.
You person.
Which, just how horrible. If you knew that is where someone's mother had committed suicide and you lock them in there as punishment, you deserve whatever happens to you.
Right. So this is where we're establishing really the abusive relationship.
This is where we see kind of it full-fledged versus just Sumi's allegations.
Right. So even though neither of these people are real.
And this is a good place where they're playing the waltz.
Wonder why. What does the waltz music mean? It's a rather pretentious artsy question, but what do you think the waltz music represents?
So to me, it kind of denotes the fact that we're describing a fairy tale still. It's really trying to circle back to that fairy tale imagery. At least for me, that's what that kind of whimsical fairy tale. Now, it seems very out of place for what's happening.
Well, I was going to say, that's an interesting theory, and I'm wondering if we kind of pay attention, every time maybe the three of them or at least two of these characters are together, we hear some piece of that music. So maybe that's indicating that.
Because a waltz usually is a waltz of three.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, maybe this is like the delusion music. Sumi deluded music.
다시 한번 묻겠어.
I'll ask you once more.
네가 잘못한
Are you admitting that you're sorry? This is the stepmother talking to Soo-yoon.
울음 그쳐.
Stop crying.
시끄러우니까 그만.
I don't want to hear it, so stop it now.
너 분해서 이래?
Are you mad at me?
분해서 이러는 거야?
Is that why you're crying? Fine.
네가 얼마나 봤지?
Let's see how long you hold up.
너희 것들은
So, I would like to know. Well, I guess maybe none of that actually happened at all. I'm wondering, so physically, the reality of that situation is Sumi must be just standing outside of the wardrobe and imagining both of those characters in front of her.
Well, it looked like she was asleep in her bed, but she was slightly dangled out of her sheet. So some of it could have been dream state. Some of it could have been awake. Her personality was asleep.
Or maybe that's, I don't know. But so if I'd be really interested in seeing what physically was going on there. So was she just dreaming? Like none of that happened?
Yeah, the only time we get to see what Sumi is doing when she's inactive is towards the end, and we kind of come to the understanding of her full crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it's paranoid schizophrenia or what.
So now we're walking down the hallway. This hallway is super cool. Just wide, awesome wood
Sumi
floors.
understands now that her sister was locked in the
Super high ceiling. I'm just geeking out over this hallway.
See, to me, that hallway would be creepy to walk down, man.
Well, I would
want
light
all
it.
The lights
Yeah, I would light it a bit better.
a bit better. Any
Yeah.
any lights would be.
I would just turn some lights on. That's what I would do.
I'm sorry, Sinyan. I'm sorry. Sumi is taking her out of the wardrobe.
This will never happen again, she says. Never. So my next one is 113. I don't know. What's your next one?
1:12:20 is probably the same one where we find out the truth about Soo-yeon.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So at this point in the movie, I was wondering if the father's hair was dyed,
알아들었어?
or if that's a natural kind of graying.
구슬을 괴롭히고 있단 말이야. 악랄하게도 악질적으로
What do you think?
내 멋지는 오타를
It looks a little too perfect gray.
Yeah.
The father's pleading with Sumi to stop it.
아빠도 알잖아. 수연이가 무서워하는 거.
You know that Soo-yoon is scared of her.
수연아,
Soo-yoon, tell dad.
아빠한테 말해봐.
The dad looks to where Soo-yeon.
Stop crying and tell him now. Tell him.
Please stop. Soo-yeon is dead.
Dun 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 dun.
I like how the screen gets shaky here.
Oh yeah, I noticed that. I like that. That's a good effect.
Soo-yeon is dead. So pull yourself together. She's really pretty, Sumi is. I think.
Yeah.
How long will you keep this up?
What a question. How long are you going to be crazy? Stop it.
아니야, 수연아.
It's not true, Soo-yeon. Soo-yeon, the ghost, is crying, screaming.
Yeah, you're right. It's the same scream every time. It's the kind of breathing and then that. Whenever Soo-yoon, Sumi, or Yoo-jun, what was the stepmother's name? Stepmother?
I just stepmother. It's Soo-yeon and Sumi are easy to remember the name of because it's
So very similar.
Yeah. Mihi is the visiting lady, but I don't remember the stepmother's name. I know that's terrible.
Yeah. So yeah, this confirmed my theory that the two were at least the same, and I was like, this is pretty good evidence. I think that the third woman is also the same.
And now, a message from a bleeding burlap sack.
Yes.
So what did you think was in that?
I'll tell you this, and I was so impatient at this point in the movie. I actually put it on a 1.5 times speed for the dragging down the hallway.
Oh Lord. This is not, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time that this is probably going to get under a half rating.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. So yeah, that was my emotional state at this point. Severe, acute impatience.
Why is she making me watch this? God.
But this leads to the moments where I think the first thing that I connected with emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see it play out. What did I think was in the bag? I don't know. I mean, I saw the blood, so I was like, oh, "Come on, man." At least
Get on with it.
there's a body in it, or she thinks there's a body in it. But I looked at the bag and I was like, if there is a body in it, then it's the prop person's fault for that not looking like there's a body in there. Because it just was one big lump. It didn't look like there's elbows and stuff in there. It didn't look like a body.
Some people are just lumpy.
It might be. But nobody in this movie's lumpy.
It's true. Everyone's very trim.
Yeah. It looked like laundry. Some bloody laundry.
And not the British version of bloody.
Bloody. Well, frustrated at the laundry. Could be bloody. Bloody laundry.
I mean, that's how I feel about it whenever I have to do laundry. Bloody laundry.
Bloody laundry. Smacking it. So I was like, all right.
Stepmom is dragging the bloodied bag through the house and is now smacking it. See, with looks like a poker.
Yeah, or a golf club or something. I don't know. So I was thinking, all right, so we're meant to believe that Soo Yun is in that bag, I think, and stepmom is beating her. So I was like, that gives me a visceral response. I thought that was slightly
At this
disturbing.
point, Sumi is at her least reliable, narrationally speaking, because we know that at least Soo Yun is not really here, but she's getting fragments, it feels like. Fragments of true past.
Right. And, so you think this is a fragment of the true past?
Well, they just had like a flashback a little bit before she woke up.
수연아!
With the green dress and the wardrobe falling and the hand smacking down.
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm wondering though how much Sue Mi was able to take in what her dad said.
Yeah, I mean,
she's
at
been
this point,
told-
she's still shouting for her sister, so it didn't take.
I wish we had gotten a little bit more of a response, an intellectual response from Sue Mi. So emotionally and within her own delusions, it can still feel real for her. But it would have been nice for her to at least acknowledge intellectually whether or not she believed what he said.
Mm-hmm. She's now running through the house, panicked, looking for her sister, and she sees the blood on the floor.
Now
She also thought she heard her sister call to her.
she's backing up slowly. Panning down slowly.
She follows the blood path with her eyes and sees the sack on the floor in front of her.
Or with what adverb? Slowly.
Oh, sorry. I was like, I don't know what you're getting at. Sorry. Ever so slowly. And time goes by. So why would you walk barefoot into the blood pile?
Slowly.
Slowly.
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
As she approaches the burlap sack, slowly,
Slowly.
she is somewhat fearing the worst.
All right. She has finally made her way to where the bag is.
That dead air you felt was what Zach was feeling.
I might actually leave that dead air in just to prove my point. She still is making her way to the bag, though. She saw it.
She saw it. She's moving slowly. And now she's slowly kneeling and reaching out towards it.
Oh, so slowly.
At this point, I was honestly expecting the bag to move. And
Yeah, so was I. Yeah.
It doesn't later.
You sound so defensive. It moves later.
It has the same adequate scare. So she's saying her sister's name as she's reaching her hands out towards the bag.
Yep.
She's having a really good freak out.
She's having a little caress of the bag. Now she's trying to open it. Allison is freaking out, having PTSD about not being able to find scissors.
It's just, you never can find them when you're... See, the other thing that frustrated about this, you could see where she could have pulled the bag through the loopy and gotten some gift.
Oh, sure.
But, that's rational Allison sitting here not worried that my sister's in a burlap
Exactly.
bag.
You might have some trouble opening a bag if your sister, or you thought your sister was in it.
Yeah, for sure. I like my sister. I don't want her to be in burlap.
Yeah. So I thought that this, her freak out here, well, I'm making fun of it while it's happening, but this was actually the first point that I felt an emotional response to it, and I felt terrible for her emotional state. I mean, she thinks that her sister just got murdered into a bag by her stepmother. And we the stakes have been set up, the relationships have been set up by this point. I can actually feel something definitive about an event that's happened in the movie, and I was bought into it. All right, so now we're seeing flashes of her taking pills. Earlier in the movie, when you thought that it was the stepmother, it was actually Sumi. She's shaking her head
I'll
around,
sue you.
getting the Asian girl hair in the face trope going on.
The blood splatters kind of are there and not there. They kind of are waving in and out of reality.
And then it diverges, it looks like. Mm-hmm. What was up with that? The blood smear diverged into two different directions.
Well, it's where the pile or the bag was and now isn't.
Oh, so it was dragged into a room and then back out into a different room.
Where the wardrobe is now for some reason in the dad's study area. And now the bloody bag is in the closet that was in Soo Yun's room. But Soo Yun's room was nailed shut. Can we also talk about how I don't think that stepmother would have been able to carry the dead weight of Soo Yun?
Yeah, she is a very slight woman.
Mm-hmm. So the bag flinched. Sumi jumped. Mother is wiping blood off her hands.
Stepmother.
Stepmother, excuse me.
It's very offensive.
To who?
The stepdaughter.
Oh, okay. The one that's real?
Yeah.
Okay. So Sumi is opening the bag.
There was a point in this movie where I was just really hoping that the father wasn't real either. Just nothing was real.
So stepmother comes in with a hot kettle. I'm sick and tired of your family.
I will steam them.
You all make me sick.
Y'all make me sick. Look, you've ruined my teapot. I'm going to stab you with some Ooh.
Stabbed her in the hand with the scissors. Now, I was like, why would you drop the scissors?
I know. I guess, you're freaked out. You've never attacked somebody before.
Yeah. And then later we do see Sumi's hand is cut up where she struck the mother.
Right. And then I noticed her hand is not injured in the last scene when she's in the mental institute again.
We don't know how much time has passed.
Whew, I don't know. I feel like that would leave a scar.
I thought it was wrapped up. Her hand was wrapped up.
We'll have to view. I remember thinking that I noticed that it hadn't been injured.
So now Sumi is being dragged by stepmom down the hallway.
So I'd like to know what's really happening here. Is she dragging herself on her elbows right now in reality? Or is she just imagining it and just kind of walking down the hall?
Yeah.
This is why I wish that hadn't been written out of the script, having the cameras all around the house.
I wanted to see that.
I wanted to see what's really happening.
So in this scene, the stepmom, the floor is magical clean. The stepmom is now dragging this ceramic garden plaster thing. There has to be easier ways to kill someone.
Yeah, this is a very odd one. I was wondering, like, is this statue famous? Is this symbolic of something again, or is this just random? Like,
To me, it was just like a random murder weapon decision. I was like, you could have killed her so many easier ways.
yeah,
That was
something that was more easily at hand.
My question is if she had succeeded in killing Sumi, would the Sumi personality go away, and would it just then be the stepmom?
Yeah.
And how weird would that be for Dad?
Yeah, yeah, and that's another thing. So, how many days are supposed to have been passed in this one?
Just a couple of days.
I wonder why Sumi never tried to get into bed with her dad.
She did.
아직도 모르겠어.
There's the scene where the stepmom is wiping off makeup and gets into bed. The dad's in bed with her, and you see him kind of pull away.
Oh,
이런
okay, yeah, I remember that now.
기억나?
Interesting. That's funny. So, something that I don't know if I dislike about this movie, or, like, I don't know if I hold it against it or if it's just something that I wouldn't have done, was that everything is explainable or explicable by recourse to Sumi's delusions, including her mother's ghost. Might have just been a dream. I don't think any evidence that it is or isn't real, so it could go either way. But there is evidence that Soo Yun's ghost is real because the other person saw it.
Well, that and at the very end, mother and... Well, we don't know whose ghost it is that's attacking in the end, but we do know that the ghost is real in the end.
Okay, so that may have been the mother's ghost, or it may have been Soo Yun's.
Or a combination.
여기서 끝내자.
I don't know. So it seemed like it would have been interesting if this whole movie was nothing supernatural was happening. So like
But it was all the mind.
it was all in the mind, and that I feel like that would be a cleaner story. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on it, and that's just what I would have done.
Well, I will say that you could still think that up until the very, very end, that there was no actual ghost. It is not unheard of for people going through epileptic seizures to hallucinate. So seeing the dead girl could have just been a coincidence.
That's true. And so that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, everything is explainable by that except for one thing. And that just seems odd to have thrown in that one thing. The next thing I have was 1:30.
I think that's probably when the mother... So we see that the hand injury is Sumi and not the stepmom. So stepmom is sitting in the study.
Yeah, so for this one, this is the kind of the big reveal when we are told as an audience that the stepmother has also been a delusion of Sumi.
And we see the
So-
real stepmom come in.
Yeah, so it looks like the stepmom is sitting on the couch, and then there's a very, 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 very slow reveal of the person in the pantsuit walking in is actually the real stepmother. And when the camera goes around the stepmother sitting on the couch right here, you can see they're blending two shots. So on one side, you're going to see there's an inconsistency of movement. Let's see. Right here. You can see it better on the big screen. I mean, it's a good transition, but you could tell that one side of her head, the background, was moving in a slightly different way than the background on the other side of her head because they were blending two shots, which is a clever thing to do. It just wasn't perfect.
And now Sumi has come back to the forefront, and we're seeing what just happened in the few minutes. She's beating a bag of dolls, and she's kind of understanding her own delusions.
You're right.
아직도 모르겠어.
갑자기 환경이 바뀌어서 그래.
We're just having a hard time adjusting. You must still be sick.
어쩜 나랑
So actually,
수연이 죽었잖아.
I'm going to. So the feeling I have about not having anything to hold on to until the very end, I think a better version of that style is Saw, the Saw movies. You don't really understand the full impact of everything until the end of the movie, and then you get the big satisfying reveal and everything is explicable. Like all the mysteries are solved. But during the movie, you've got something to hold on to. You've got real relationships between people and them trying to figure things out. You know that you don't know something.
But that's another example of a movie that gives you thing after thing after thing after thing. It, like,
Yeah,
it's
and
trying to-
I'm not saying those movies are masterpieces, but that is something where a big thing is revealed at the end, and the true truth of the reality of the situation is unveiled.
Or Psycho, the original Psycho.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't know that there's something that's being dangled in front of you that you just can't get at yet. There are other
kind of 9.
yeah, there are other things that you can latch onto and personalities and a story that's unfolding that you can follow, and then they pull the rug out from underneath you, which is good. I think this one just never gave you a rug. That's kind of the analogy or the metaphor that I would give. Okay. This movie just never gave you a rug. You just wandered into a room and there's just discordant lights and stuff that you're looking at and like, I don't know what to make of any of this. And then at the very end, it kind of shifts all the lights into a real picture. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that made sense all along, but I don't know.
But why didn't you say anything earlier?
Yeah, I know. Like I couldn't have enjoyed this earlier because I didn't know any of this.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's fair.
많이 기억 안
So now we're hearing all the memories and seeing her kind of weird behavior, like wiping off the lipstick before getting into bed and being the only one that come out of the car when they first arrive at the house. And
Yeah, the lack of reinforcement and emotional reinforcement and just any kind of reinforcement from the father in
he's
this movie.
so absent.
I know. That was
The only time he emotes is when he looks giddy helping his mistress get out of the car, and the I don't know what to call that. With the end, which is really the beginning.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, is he a bad father or is this?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it really seems like he was.
Because what kind of a person brings their mistress home with them like that?
An honest man. You got to give it to him. He wasn't hiding it.
Yeah. Sure.
Hey, you know,
Yeah, he wasn't hiding it.
I'll give him props for that, honestly. I hate him for other reasons because he was a terrible father, seemingly. But as far as, he was not dishonest about where his heart was.
Frankly, why though? She's not that great.
Well, we don't see any of the real her.
I mean, the her that's here, like, I feel like it's a little bit antagonistic. You kind of see.
All right, so
attempts-
we're in the mental institute again.
Okay, and so she says, "Sumi, are you okay?"
So Sumi is sitting on the hospital bed.
Kind of catatonic.
Yeah, she's in her gown, and the stepmother is saying it's all over now. She's rubbing her hair. See, I think she was seeming.
If you
somewhat...
look at her face, there's not a genuine care from her face. They're about to pan into a different. So like tap tap.
I don't know. I think that's
I don't think she's genuine.
just how her face looks. She's just got an aggressive face.
잘 있어.
Take care of yourself.
Okay.
Goodbye.
And then she grabs her hand. Okay, so let's see if we can pause on the hands here.
I think it's the other side.
Well, she grabs from the other side and is resting her right hand on her leg, so we should be able to see both.
맛이야. 제발 이러지 좀.
Please stop it and let it go.
See, there's a contempt there.
Well, she just had her hand grabbed for no good reason. I think she's just kind of freaked
there's a
out.
good reason. There's
Well, but
just-
she's just freaked out about it, I think.
I don't know. I see kind of an aggression with her. Sumi is still just kind of catatonic and
Yeah.
looking ahead.
But you may be right. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the scenes that I wasn't paying as much attention to as I should have at the end with the stepmom. So the stepmom knew about the mother dying, or the daughter.
Yeah. So let's watch that scene here in a second, because I think that'll answer some of your questions. But
All right. You go ahead and scan to that scene then.
so the
Unless
scene
you-
that I'm skipping, I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, so we get to see that scene before the traditional horror at the end. So the girls are sitting on their swing set, and car pulls up, and we see the mistress come, and the dad is just giddy and helping
Hey,
take things. The mom's upstairs.
he's living his best life.
He looks on at the daughters like,
You're gonna learn to love her.
yeah. Gross. The mom's upstairs feeling hurt, and Soo-yeon looks sad.
All right, then we cut inside to a depressing table.
Back to the future, where the stepmom comes in, and this is present, not the past that we were just at, and she's looking back. I think maybe reflecting.
She looks sad. By the way, I just finished Back to the Future 3. Never seen it before.
So Sumi
another
is
time.
leaving a table where everyone's having lunch, just upset, and then the stepmom takes the utensils away from Soo-yeon so she can't eat her meal because Sumi disrespected her. Soo-yeon is crying and heading upstairs. True mom comes. You can tell she's sad and somewhat frail. I don't know if the mom was sick. It kind of felt to me like maybe the mom was sick and dying.
Well, I mean, I guess a sickness. I mean, maybe she just had depression,
It's
and so
possible.
like a mental disorder like that would be genetic in some way, perhaps. And so that's how Sumi.
Mother's crying and looking on. Sumi in the mental hospital, present day, hears the whistle of her sister. And she smiles a little bit. But the stepmother hears it also.
So, the lore of this movie is confirming that ghosts can be in multiple places and whistle at the same time.
Yes. So says the movie, so say I. So, like most horror movies, I'm like, why would you investigate it?
So
You know you-
slowly.
Well, not even so slowly. Why would you go at all?
Oh yeah, and I think I said that when I was watching the movie last night. I was like, look, either you think that there's a monster over there, like you're seeing things that could only be explained supernaturally. So either you're deluded, or you're seeing some supernatural stuff for which you should.
I thought it was clever though. She's walking on the floorboards and they sink in a little bit, and blood kind of comes to the
Yeah, and that was another thing. I was up to this point. I was like, all right, so things can be explained psychologically, and then there's some blood coming up from someone who we do not think is delusional. So this is some sort of supernatural stuff.
Yeah, this is the only time where it's conventional horror.
And so I'm like, why go toward the crazy stuff? Oh, that's the hand I was talking about. And then you see a little bit of rustling behind the blanket.
Yeah. And she's breathing, and the room is so cold that her breath has a fog to it.
So I think it is a hand. And I think the reason she keeps seeing a hand is maybe the hand of...
The hand that was slapping out around
Yeah.
for help.
Yeah. See, that's nice. That's a good touch.
Not a bad touch.
Well, it would be if it came out looking for you.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would never do what the stepmom did.
No.
I don't care how disrespected I am. I'm not going to let someone
So what are we looking at here?
empty picture frames. Door closing.
Why? What's with the empty picture frames?
Maybe they took the family pictures out after they passed.
Maybe the ghost did it. Ghosts wipe away pictures. Look it up.
Did something like that happen in, like, was it Star of Echoes or something like that? I
In
don't
what?
remember. Stir of Echoes.
What's this?
Kevin Bacon.
I like Kevin Bacon.
Who doesn't?
Some people probably.
I think he has a better following than, say, Nicolas Cage.
Well, at this point, yeah. Nicolas Cage fell away from Hollywood and has never really made a proper recovery.
Oh, we watched National Treasure for the first time the other day, and I just was not buying what it was selling.
I haven't seen those since they came out.
I had never seen any of them, and I got part of it. And Mark's like, "What do you want as Nicolas Cage?"
Yeah.
So she's tugging. She went to the wardrobe, and she's tugging at a piece of hair that she saw. I thought it was cool how they did this scene.
Yeah, I didn't know that was hair until the thing started coming out.
Well,
thought-
I was just thought like how it seemed to kind of naturally fall forward.
What's the semen?
I think it's ectoplasm.
Oh, okay. Why wasn't there semen? Why wasn't there semen at the other
Please stop calling
sightings?
it semen.
Well, there wasn't any at the other ghost sightings.
The other ones were mental, not actual ghosts.
No, because we know that the
Well,
Su
we don't-
Yun one in the kitchen where the other girl saw her was real.
Well, yeah, she was covered in goo.
Was she?
Yeah, blood or goo. Like it's kind
Yeah, it
of a
looked like
dark
blood.
brown.
Yeah.
We can't really tell.
It looked like blood. That one looked like semen. I don't know.
I don't think it comes in that kind of quantities. Plus, like you're emptying
This is
vats at a.
Supernatural stuff.
So the stepmother, is just attacked in Soo-Yun's room in present day, and now we're getting the full flashback of what happens. So after Soo-Yun is comforted by her mom on her bed, she wakes up from a nap. Her mother's no longer there. The wardrobe door opens slightly.
Although I have to say, her mom's kind of a piece of shit too.
For doing that to...
Yeah, in the room. Like, your daughter's napping right there. I'll just hang myself in the wardrobe right there and close the door so she can discover me in a really traumatic way.
It's convenient.
I don't care. Throw yourself out of a window so someone else can find you. Jeez.
She just discovered the corpse of her mother. You see pills in the wardrobe and her mother's hung dead corpse.
Yeah.
And now the wardrobe falls on top of Soo-Yun. Everyone hears it.
I mean, what a way to kill yourself.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And what a way to be killed. Like, poor Soo-Yun. That even if they got to her in time, she would have been scarred for life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I'm actually going to change my my Thorn Award.
Okay. to the mom.
Yes.
So stepmom is coming up the stairs to investigate the noise she heard. She walks into Soo-Yun's room and she sees her struggling to breathe and her hands coming out. She drops the picture of Soo-Yun in the green dress.
So what's with the scratching?
So she's taking her hands and she's trying to make herself known.
I think she could have done more. Honestly. Like, she's just, like, scratching at the edge.
So stepmom's walking away like she's just going to let this happen. And then she softens for a second. What am I thinking? She turns around. And then Sumi comes out of her room. Do you want to play Sumi here?
Yeah, so the bit that I missed was her knowing about that and
무슨 소리?
going back.
Didn't you hear something?
여긴 왜 올라온 거야?
Why would you come up here?
안방 1층 아니야?
Dad's not here.
그게 무슨 말이야?
What do you mean?
이젠 엄마의 집까지
Now you're acting like mum.
부탁인데
Do me a flavor.
우리 일에 상관하지
Stay
마.
out of our lives. She doesn't get out of the way when she tries to walk.
좀 비켜줄래?
Can you get out of the way?
나 나가야 돼.
I have to go. She gives her a stiff shoulder.
너
You might regret this moment.
지금 이 순간 후회하게 될지도 몰라. 명심해.
Keep that in mind.
It's a gangster thing to say.
당신이랑 이렇게 마주보고
What
있는
can be
것보다
worse
더
than
후회할 일이
standing
있어?
here with you?
당신이 이 집에서 돌아다니면서
When you're here,
수 있으면
I want to be as
멀리
far
떨어지고
away from you as I can.
싶어서. 이해해?
Do you get it now? Stop. I don't know. Slap the side of the wardrobe. Make a big wood noise.
The dad calls after her, Sumi, as Sumi exits the house. I love the walls so much.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. I hadn't really marked it. But it's playing not when she's delusional, so I don't think that can be really the delusional song or theme. Guess it's just
so whimsical and haunted fairy tale. She stops after leaving the house.
So how can you tell that she's being suffocated? Because I never really got that.
So you can kind of see her mom's hair and body kind of draped over her a little bit.
I mean, her nose is exposed.
Well, I mean, the weight alone crushing your lungs would prohibit you from... We don't know how much damage has been done to her.
Right.
But Sumi looks back at her house.
I think that moment could have been sold better. Like she could cough up blood, or like blood could come out of her nose, indicating that she had been crushed or something. That could have made more sense. Because when I watched that, I didn't know that she'd been suffocated. I didn't know that's like until her eyes closed. I didn't know she was dying. I thought she was just under there and was refusing to call out for help.
The stepmom was on the balcony looking on at Sumi walking away from the house and closes the door. And we're left with the final words of, well, what is worse than standing here with you in this moment?
Right.
Being suffocated by the corpse of your mother? High on that list.
Yeah. And then here's the anime title sequence. End credit sequence.
We're seeing Sumi sitting on the pier. The only color is in the red of her sweater.
Yep. Then you get the credits on the right. And there you have it.
And there you have it. A tale of two sisters.
Indubitably. So, was it as good as you remember?
So, I will say that in this instance, this is the first time I've lowered my score.
I think you lowered it for Jaws or
Breakfast Club, maybe. But this is the first time where, was it as good as I remember? I said yes and no. I really liked it still, but it was slower than I remember.
Yeah, it's super slow. But narratively, you didn't have a problem like I did with not having, because I mean, you have already seen it, so going back and rewatching, you already know the stuff, so you can appreciate all the little details and touches of people's performances and the scenes and whatever. So I guess you couldn't really adjust your perspective on that.
Yeah, the Sixth Sensian kind of surprise, you can only get that surprise once.
Right. But even Sixth Sense, like there was a different narrative that you were believing until you realized that he was dead. Mm-hmm. Whereas this one, there wasn't a narrative that I could hold on to.
Okay.
Like, can you see that? Or do you?
Well, you also
you
felt like you figured it out, I think, earlier than other viewers, maybe. I mean, it was non-confirmed.
Yeah.
But because you believed what you believed, it was harder to buy into the rest.
Well, but I don't know, because I wasn't, like, I had predicted that, and that was the thing that I thought was maybe most likely. But it wasn't that I was just disregarding the things that they were trying to convince us of in the moment. So I was still along for the ride. And that's I think if I had it confirmed beforehand that nobody was real and these were all delusions, I think I would have enjoyed it more because I would have known that. But when I didn't know that, everything was frustrating because I didn't know what to make of it.
Okay.
And in The Sixth Sense, you know what to make of it. Even when you're wrong about what you're making of it, you're at least confident as a viewer. You're like, okay, so you can follow along the narrative until the rug is torn out, and then it's all something different. But this one, there was no shape to the movie for me. There was nothing to hold on to. I don't know. But so, I mean, you don't remember having that experience when you first saw it.
No, I remember being freaked out. I was younger when I saw it. I was in college. And I hadn't had the exposure to horror movies that I do now. And so little nuances of it were scarier to me. And there were also tropes that I were not familiar with. And so
Sure.
my eyes were constantly searching. And so there may have been some self-induced panic.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not saying everybody has to see it the way I do. I mean, that's just
They must.
how I was seeing it. So do you think it contributed anything to cinema?
I say yes in the way that it was groundbreaking. It was at that time, as stated earlier, it was the first movie to get a U.S. cinematic release from a Korean film like this. So,
I don't know if I would say that was cinematically groundbreaking though.
visually, I think visually, I thought it was a beautiful movie. I thought there was a lot that your eyes could drink in, from the wallpaper to the depth of the house, the coloration. So I think in that way, there was something being contributed.
I'll agree with you on that. I think, like I said, I think the directing was actually good. That the pacing was awful, but but I think that the directing was pretty good. I mean, the shots were pretty, and I agree that the house was presented in this very mysterious and ominous, and
Dark fairy tale.
there was just a scale to everything that felt oppressive. And yeah, the wallpapers and everything did make it feel like a fairy tale. So I thought it was visually interesting. I don't know if it was groundbreaking. I mean, it was 2003, so it'd be hard to claim that it did things visually or narratively that other horror movies hadn't done.
But I think there was something unique in the presentation and the quality. Like, it just... so it's... I think this is one where we may not see eye to eye on.
And that's fine.
Yeah. Just because I just thought it was a really beautiful dark fairy tale, and that's very much my niche.
Yeah.
Fairy tales are my thing.
And when did you see it for the first time?
I want to say it was in maybe 2006. I remember. So where I went to school, in the basement of the dorms, there was usually a classroom. And you could go in there and use the projector to watch a movie. So we did that on occasion.
Oh, okay.
So we watched it kind of in this dark, creepy basement, and
Yeah.
I was with my friend Chip at the time, and my friend Chris, who unfortunately is not with us anymore, Chris Gardner, and a girl named Katie Drummond, and we watched that all together.
And so this was one of the first horror movies you'd seen, or you just hadn't seen a lot?
I just hadn't seen a lot. I would say that my catalog of horror films has expanded quite a bit since then.
Right. So at the time, would this have been one of your favorite horror movies?
Oh yeah, I sought it out to specifically buy it on DVD. I thought it was really beautifully done, and again, it tapped into that fairy tale kind of whimsy
Yeah.
that I adore.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that a lot about this movie. So there were elements that I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'll say on that. So, there are the standard questions we have. Do you think this could be made in the modern climate and language and stuff that we would maybe find objectionable? I don't know that.
So I don't know enough about Korean culture to know if there was anything bad about the language used.
Yeah. So I suppose, could this movie be remade in America now?
It has.
Well, but now.
Yeah, today. Yeah, I think it could. I think it would do better if it was made into a period piece, like maybe set in Victorian time or 1920s or something.
You think it should be a little bit more alien, a little bit more folklore-y?
Yeah, just because I think we know more about mental illness that I think maybe we would pick up on that, or her family would have picked up on it sooner.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective. Yeah, it would be hard to swallow that a modern American family would be able to ignore all of these signs
Yeah.
so readily.
And the other thing is the mistress coming to live with them. They would have to play that a different way.
An au pair?
So how they did it in The Uninvited is it was alluded that she was a nurse or something taking care. God, the cat just scared the shit out of Jesus out I just saw something like moving out of the corner of my eye, and she was on top of a countertop. But sorry, it's just the living room right now is kind of shadowy. We're filming later. Than
Sure.
Just so, in The Uninvited, I think they were saying that Elizabeth Banks, who is playing the stepmom character, I believe she
I love Elizabeth Banks.
I think she was there to take care of the mom who was sick. And maybe that's why I put that projection of the mom this time around, is maybe the mom was sick and that's why she was there. Or the fact that the pictures that the girls are looking at, you see the stepmom and the dad in lab coats, and like maybe they're a doctor and nurse, or a doctor and a doctor working together.
Yes, well, that certainly seemed likely.
Plausible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I knew more about the Korean language to say if there was anything derogatory or bad used as far as that. So I don't think there was really anything problematic, except for the fact that I just really hated the dad.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if that movie were remade exactly as it is in
I don't
there,
think any of the dads would say, "Oh, you look tired. Clean it up tomorrow."
well, that's exactly right. That's a bit of misogyny that I missed the first time. And I don't think because I'm not not because I'm not attuned to it. I think I was just paying attention to the line beforehand, which seemed silly.
Oh, it wasn't just the very deadpan.
That part of at the dinner party,
Yeah.
that was hilarious. So who would you give your rose to?
Well,
Your Rose Award?
the Rose Award would have to go to Sumi because she's the only person really there for most of the movie.
Disagree.
Okay, go on.
I say that it should go to Soo Yun's ghost.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, she's the only one that you can kind of feel empathy for.
Well, because she kills the
Stepmom.
stepmom at the end.
Well, we don't know that. We just
With
hear
the whistling.
her screaming.
With the whistling. I think
She
that
wasn't whistled to death.
No, but that was her war cry. Her battle cry was the whistle, and then she killed her.
Or did something to her.
Yes. So I think that the whistling is evidence that it was Soo Yun that killed her at the end. And so therefore, I think we have no evidence of the mother's ghost being real. I think that was a dream. So I think the only ghost that was real was Soo Yun's.
And she would have the right to be the tormented spirit.
Yeah.
So by that nature, I mean, my thorn was going to the dad, because none of this would have happened if it wasn't for the dad.
My thorn was originally going to go to the dad.
Mm-hmm. But now it's to the mom.
But if you think about it, the mom caused all of this.
No, she wouldn't have done that if the stepmom hadn't been brought to live there, because the dad couldn't keep it in his trousers.
Oh, no. You blame the father for...
I will blame the father.
Blame the father all day long for not being a great husband.
He's not a great husband or a great father.
But he was honest about his desires.
His infidelity?
Yes. And...
Honesty about your infidelity does not negate the infidelity.
But she could kill herself in a less traumatizing for her daughter's way.
So
She caused the mental collapse of...
But she wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for the father.
She caused the physical collapse of Soo Yun and the mental collapse of Soo Mi. This was all her fault.
But it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the father.
It wouldn't have happened if she weren't born either. We can blame other people all day long.
So it's the mom's mom.
Yes. But she wouldn't have been born if it wouldn't have been for the grandmother. So we have to go all the way
It's
to...
the great-grandmother's fault.
It was Eve.
It was Eve.
We can blame Eve for all of this. No, the buck has to stop somewhere, and I say it's the mom. She killed herself in the most traumatizing way possible and caused the physical and mental collapse of her daughters.
He's doing like a full Phoenix Wright lawyer stance, with his hands and everything. You can't see, but his shoulders are really animated.
Yes. Well, I'm passionate about this. This was definitely the mother's fault. So I give my Thorn Award to the mother.
We're never going to see eye to eye to this because it's the unfaithful father.
Look, I'm not saying he was great, and if the
No, he was terrible.
he was definitely terrible, and I would give it to him. He's second worst. But the mother caused more of the hardship in this movie than the father.
But she wouldn't have had it not been for the father.
If people killed themselves every time they were cheated on, I wouldn't be here.
Oh.
And neither would a lot of other people.
That's a really horrible sentence. So, on that note, let's get to the real.
And on that bombshell,
Yeah, really. Way to go, Sumi's mom.
Sorry. I hope I didn't cause the wardrobe of this podcast to fall on you, the viewer or listener.
On that note, so genre quality, what was your rating?
Genre quality. So I classified the genre quality under examination as scariness, and I gave it.
Spooky.
We're getting our money's worth out of that one. Okay, so I gave it something, but I might be reconsidering. Hang on.
Well, he's
computing,
mulling it
computing.
over. I would say
Processing.
scare factor, if that's how we are basing it, I would say 6 out of 10 for scares. The 2 jump scares that they had in there, very successful jump scares. But I thought that there was more to it in the kind of supernatural, dramatic storytelling for me. So drama, I would say 7 out of 10.
Okay. So for scariness, I've actually just given it a bump. I had it at 4, and I've now given it a 5.
Okay.
I think it was 5 out of 10 for scares. For directing and writing, both, I gave a 4. And I think both of those people, both of those categories are to blame for why it's so, I think, poor on the first viewing.
Okay.
So on a second viewing, I like it a lot. I think it's really good. But that isn't enough. I think you have to judge it on the first viewing. And then you can say it's accented or made better on a second viewing, and I think that is to the credit of a movie. But it can't be entirely worthless on the first viewing and then really good on the second viewing. I don't think that's appropriate.
Okay.
So because of that, I give it a really low rating for the directing and writing of a 4 out of 10. Acting, I give it a 6 out of 10.
And I will say, I can never go back again as a first-time viewer. So I will accept that because we're going based on your experience as a virgin viewer.
Yeah.
I've seen it before now several times. And I'm looking for the things that I want to fill in the gaps with.
Mm-hmm.
And I can never go back as that first-time viewer. So I will accept what you say.
And
Acting, I thought was superb. I thought
the acting was really good too.
maybe 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10.
Oh, come on. I mean, that's getting into Laurence Olivier territory.
Well, for you.
Really? What would you give Laurence Olivier?
Well, I thought I gave him a 9 out of 10 last time. Or
Oh, okay. So you're saying that this is a point lower?
Point lower, yeah. I think that
I don't know.
I wish there was a lot bigger scale.
Yeah, I know. But see, that's what I'm saying. So if Laurence Olivier is at a 9 or a 10, like that's the top shelf acting. And I think good acting is like a 4 or 5. Great acting is like a 7.
Okay.
So I think this wasn't great acting. I think it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a 6.
And I also wonder, not again speaking or knowing Korean, how much of that was overacted, correctly acted, or otherwise. So there's a little bit of a gray area there. So
Absolutely.
what is your overall reel?
My overall was a 4.
Okay.
4 out of 10.
Well,
It's not the worst thing that ever happened to me.
It's not Meg.
It's not Meg. Exactly. I would get Meg as the archetypal 1 out of 10.
So Zach has said that Meg, the
0.
shark movie with Jason Statham, is the movie that taught him to hate movies.
That's why this podcast is good for me, because it was getting me back into a flow of watching good movies. And then we hit
A Tale of Two Sisters. So, well, I'm sorry to do that. To
No,
you.
it wasn't. It's not Meg level. And like I said, on a second viewing, it's really good.
Yeah.
But I have to hold that against it.
Yeah.
On some level.
And that's fair. That's fair. So I did lower my score to a 6.5 out of 10 from my original 8.5 because of the slowness.
Yeah.
That I hadn't really felt the first time or some of the second times, but it's been several years since I've watched it again. And watching it again yesterday, I was like, yeah, I don't remember it being this drawn out.
Yeah. Well, and some of that is kind of unfair, but understandable for a horror movie, because the more you see a horror movie, the more you know what's coming, and the more you're not going to feel the tenseness.
Mm-hmm.
or the anxiety in a situation. So you're just sitting there waiting
Yeah.
for it to happen.
Come on, I got places to be.
Yeah.
So, okay. So our next movie, we didn't get to talk about that. So our next movie, since we are in the horror season, I think it will be dependent on when our co-host might be available.
Oh yeah. So we're doing either Lost Boys or
Scream.
And so if it's okay, so basically what we're saying is if it's Lost Boys, we want Chris. If it's Scream, we want Timmy.
Kaya.
Oh, Kaya's doing Scream.
Yes.
Okay.
Timmy is going to join us for when we do the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's what his was. Okay.
Yes. He dressed like Dr. Frankenfurter one year.
He did really well until he got a little off balance.
I did his makeup. I like to take credit for some of his apparel.
Yeah.
I tried to give him false lashes. That was a no-go.
Viewers, hold us to it. When we have Timmy on the podcast, we totally have to talk about that night.
Oh, yeah. So I can't really give it a proper nostalgia rating until we know which one we are accomplishing.
Oh man, but we have to have something for the viewers to view next time and to care about at the end of this episode, and so they have a reason to listen to the next one.
Well, won't they care to know who our favorite people are?
So the next one is going to be our favorite person?
No. Ooh. So who's going to say yes? No, it's more, I just meant there. I think that will be our enticer because we can't give it that nostalgia rating until we know
what will she be nostalgic for.
Yeah, because I can just kind of drop a bombshell on you and say what my nostalgia is for both.
All three.
Okay. Oh gosh.
So here, let's first things first. Lost Boys. What's your nostalgia?
I would say 7 out of 10.
Okay, 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually adjusting how generous I'm being with the scale based on the conversations we're having.
Okay.
So I'm going to get a little harder on my assessments.
Okay.
So Lost Boys, 7 out of 10.
All right.
It's a fun vampire movie.
Mhm.
Scream, also 7 out of 10.
All right.
And Rocky Horror Picture Show. See, this is hard because you either love it or you don't. It's the cilantro of musical horror.
I don't like cilantro.
Does it taste like soap to you?
Wait, hang on. Maybe I'm thinking of something different. What's the stringy meat?
Cilantro is an herb. It's the herb that's typically found in southwestern food. I put in like guacamole and things.
Oh, I'm fine with cilantro. Yeah. What am I thinking of? The stringy meat. I had a lot of it in Italy. It's like meat, and then you get strings in your teeth, and then you hate life.
I would think of that usually with roasts, like pot roasts and things. Those can get like kind of...
And it's like thinly sliced. You could confuse it for ham. Prosciutto. Yes, disgusting stuff.
Did you have it on melons? So real cut prosciutto should just kind of melt.
So this was in Italy,
Yeah.
and we were in the middle of a volcano. At
Vesuvius?
No, a different volcano.
How many volcanoes can there be?
That's the only one. No, there's a volcano that my stepdad's family has a house in one.
Inside the volcano? Are they supervillains?
That's what I think I made that joke when we were there. I believe it's technically active, but it hasn't gone off in like 1,000 years or something. So
That sounds real safe.
I know it's odd. Anyway, so we were back there playing some soccer in the backyard and whatever, and they had this nice spread of
Football?
like genuine. No, it's soccer. When an American enters the room, you call it soccer. But anyway, so they had this nice spread of really good Italian cheeses and meats and things. The cheese is out of control good. I love some good old
So fun fact about Zach. When he has a really good cheese, he gets all rosy faced and sweaty.
I do.
He gets the cheese sweats.
But I also like get a funk in my step. Like I close my eyes and I start rocking back and forth. Like it gives me music in my soul. I can't explain
a
it.
few times when I've given him really good sharp Irish cheddar.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Oh my God, just a good sharp cheddar. Or honestly, like a block of Parmesan.
Mm-hmm.
This is becoming food porn, but I just, like seriously, it makes me shut my eyes and I just
Speaking of, I need to get started on getting that grill going soon.
All right. Well, we have to end this podcast at some point.
Yeah.
We've gone
So-
over 3
so
hours again.
Cheese porn. I wasn't expecting us to go this long for this movie.
I wasn't either because I didn't take a lot of notes.
Yeah. It was a lot of ad lib and changing of minds.
Yeah, but I like that. That's nice.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So Rocky
cheese,
Horror-
cheese good, prosciutto bad, Rocky Horror
6.5.
6.5.
But the music is a 10 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
So, and we'll discuss that when we watch it, because the music you can just enjoy as its own thing.
Good. I'm looking forward to it. So, to the viewers, the mystery is going to be which of these movies we going to do.
Who's available?
But for the next one, we're going to have a guest on, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's either going to be Chris, Kaya, or Timmy. Whoever loves us the most.
Yes, and whoever we think is the best.
Yeah, they get the gold star and the candied golden pumpkin.
So anyway, thank you very much for listening to this episode of Rose Tinted Reels. I have been your co-host, Zachary Duncan.
This has been Allison Krause. And we would like to say special thanks to Julian Crowhurst, who made our intro music, and to Mr. Zachary Duncan for making our outro music.
Look, I don't need any more attention than I get already on this podcast.
Well, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for you.
I mean, whoops.
We'll get better with this out.
Maybe one day. Anyway, so thanks for listening. Whoops, no, damn it. That's not the outro. I
We
will
need to
get better.
outtake real.
This is the real one. Bye, guys. So I messed up again, and none of us noticed it. This music is this isn't the right music. I'm so sorry, people. Hang on, I'll get you the right stuff. Just give me a moment. All right, here we go. Yeah, I was on the wrong soundboard. All right, so you still with me, people? All right, listen to this. Nope. Nope. This is out of control. Here we go. Yeah. Bye, guys.